It's showtime, and we're in the holiday season of 2023. We didn't do a Christmas show last week because we held back. We wanted this to be a special show today, in between Christmas and New Year's, Kwanzaa, and all the above. If I missed anything, I'm sorry. Hanukkah started early this year, so that was already pushed aside. I want to wish all our African brothers and sisters happy Kwanzaa this week. Christmas was very mild here in New York area. Very warm, actually, to be honest with you. No snow. So Santa had a hard time getting his sleigh through. And you know what it's like when you have no snow and you have a sleigh. There's not much, it's not easy to glide without snow. But he made his impression, stopped through and left us all these wonderful treats and special gifts. And that's why here at True House Stories, we've been, for the last few years, been able to pull some of the best out of the game. And this is where I'm going to take us into today's game. Now imagine, go back in your time machines, people, to a time when it was real simple. 4 or 5 television stations, maybe 6 FM stations, maybe 6. FM just started to get on. Remember, we were all listening to AM radio and transistor radios pre to this all happening. So when these guys, who one of them I'm going to bring up, came on the scene with the Gangsta Lean, changed the game as we know it. And they didn't realize that they were writing the rules. Because pre to that, there was no rules. We had the Motown era. We had, the 50s, the 60s. We had rock. But, and we had, of course, James Brown and the soul, and things were starting to come through. Motown made its impact. But not too long after, these guys, like, for example, Tavares or the Tramps, Earl Young and his Tramps, and they were all these bands that were coming up through the 70s. And also, studio musicians were working with other bands, right? Playing their guitar or their saxophone or pianist, now becoming frontmen. See what I'm saying? So here they're playing for one guy for a while, and they get the ropes, they get the taste of the road. Or they wrote a song with somebody else, and bam! Welcome to True House Stories. I'm Lenny Fontana, coming out of New York City. And today, we take it from Europe back to America, Boston, and the world to get this amazing artist, saxophone player, musician, writer, producer, choreographer, you name it. Writer, session player, all the above, and still doing it today. Okay? And his songs are still played as they were played back then through the 70s, even now. And Lord knows how many records he's also on because of his saxophone work and session time that he did with a lot of musicians. And he'll tell you about that in a second when I bring him up. Handsome as ever. Still doing it stronger, better than ever. Casablanca recording artist. Also worked with Elton John and many, many major artists from Europe and the UK and America. I'd like to welcome to the show, right here on True House Stories, Leroy Gomez from Santa Esmeralda.
Oh my God! Now, how am I going to follow up with that?
That's
Lenny, thank you. So nice to be here with you. I really like the way you put that in a nutshell about the era and the time. I know you're doing this like on the wing and you're just letting it all come out. But that was a great introduction. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. And thank you for agreeing. Everyone, you have to understand something. We've been months talking back and forth. Come on, do the show. Check out the show. All right, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, I'll do the show. And then finally was like, you know what? I really want you during the holidays because this is something special for people to hear. People like yourself, Leroy, who, you know, You're My Everything, for example. How many weddings that song has. My sister, when she got married, was her wedding song, for example.
Wow.
So it's fresh. Like I could just say it from experience. Many, many, many people have played your music for decades. And in Europe, even more so than America, when disco went underground here, it was still championed overseas. And you stood in Europe through the whole thing. But we'll let you tell that story.
Actually, to that whole thing, I was in LA sitting by the pool.
What happened when
there was a moment there
when
where
they burned disco? When they
I
did
got
the
really lazy for like about 12 years. I was like, yeah, this is nice. You know, California dreaming. I did that, but I don't know how to get to that point. I think we should start from the beginning somewhere.
Let's start from the tippity top as a young kid.
Oh yeah.
And you know, it's important because you know we know that you're a musician and writer and everything. It's like, but how do you get to that point? Where does either music find you or you find the music?
Well, this is funny because like I come back to the States last couple of years, November, December, January, February, to stay with my mom. So I'm home in my bedroom, you know, as my childhood environment. So we can go right back to that point if you'd like.
Let's go right there.
All right. Well, here I am. I think I was 12 years old, a little dyslexic. And in school, I mean, when he went up to the chalkboard, I couldn't see. I was seeing things backwards. So I wasn't doing that well in school. So one of my teachers, you know, got my mom and dad at one of these school meetings, said, you know, I mean, he gets in the back. He doesn't want to talk. He doesn't want to raise his hand. I mean, he seems to be very shy. What's his problem? And then we said, no, but he doesn't seem to be shy around the house. But, you know, as I'm looking back, the dyslexia was like, you know, keeping me in my own little world. So he said, well, maybe we should get him an instrument to play. And I wanted to play the guitar, but we didn't have a guitar. We only in the school, we had like, you know, horns and trumpets and all these things. And so they got me a saxophone. And I got my saxophone the very first day, couldn't play a peep on it. And ran over to my best friend, David Cardozo, who was like 3 years older than me. They could play the guitar, could sing. I mean, he was like my idol. And I went over to his house, and for like 2 years, we're in his cellar. I mean, the first thing I was, I mean, in about 2 years, I was playing pretty heavy because we did it every day. I'm talking about we did it 2-3 hours a day. I mean, after football practice, after basketball, we'd be over there. His mother, God bless her. I mean, I don't know how she did it, but every day we practiced. And the next thing I know, we're doing, you know, high school hops and all that stuff until, you know, till Tavares came around. But don't let me go running off at the mouth because I will.
No, I want to hear this. No, this is really interesting. So basically, when you first started, you weren't David Sanborn yet. You were just like,
oh yeah. Oh, my brother used to
breaking the reed.
Oh yeah, eating. I mean, my brother would, you know, but I was dedicated. I found something that I could do without looking. It was like ear. My ear became very, very sensitive because of the fact that with having dyslexia, I don't know if people
Let's explain that. Explain what you know. People have heard this, and this, and funny enough, everyone, dyslexia is a condition that a lot of musicians that we know have. For whatever reason, it does very well for musicians. How does that work? You know, what's happening when you're looking at something? What's going on?
Even today, I have to pay attention because I get, you know, letters and numbers backwards. If I want to remember something, I have to say it. I have to say it, read it, say it, and then through my ear, it connects. So it's like a lifetime thing that you go through because you can't get rid of it, you know. But you learn how to live with it. You adapt to it. And a lot of, you know, kids, I mean, now they know. But back in my day, it was, you know, my dad used to say, "Is this kid stupid or what?" You know, but that was his, you know, that was the old folks. That's the way that, you know, they looked at it, because they figured, I mean,
Yeah, but see now,
if you can't, if you're looking at it backwards, you must be
dude, the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, even the 80s, they didn't have nobody in the schools to pick up on any of that stuff. You're on your own.
Yeah. Yeah. So to make a long story short, I realized that I was, you know, pretty good. And at the age of like, by the time I was it 12, 13, 14, 15, we had this little band called The Highlights with David Cardoza, who was 3 years older than me. I mean, this kid could sing, play the guitar. I mean, and my dad got a kick out of it, because all of a sudden the stupid kid could do something really good, you know. So he was like chaperoning. He bought a little truck just for us, you know, so we could carry our equipment, and he'd go to all the gigs, and we'd go out there and we'd do our little, you know, Saturday night hops and stuff. We worked in these old places. I mean, these old bars and stuff. I remember one time, this place was so old, the floor was like falling through. They used to have the people dance in shifts. This side of the room would dance one song, and then they'd have to sit down, and then the other side of the room would have to go dance. If not, the floor would, you know, come through. It's like, it was crazy. But so my dad was, you know, sitting there at the bar, you know, chaperoning, and screaming, you know, play that song, son. What you want, Dad? Watermelon Man. Do, 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 do. Watermelon Man. I don't know if you can remember. We're going way back.
Hell yeah, going way back.
Yeah.
That was the next question I was going to really ask you. What was this band covering?
Well, you know, we're doing covers, you know, Motown, you know, but then we were going, I mean, there was Motown. This was even before the Philly sound came out. I mean, of course, James Brown. I mean, come on. James Brown even came to my little town and worked up the street. This is way back, you know, in the 60s. I remember James Brown came to like a bar where he was, you know, before he started coming out with Cold Sweat and all that stuff. That before that came out, he was like, you know, everybody else, man. He was like, you know, coming up through the ranks. And then all of a sudden he hit, you know. But I mean, all the James Brown. I mean, Maceo Parker. I mean, he gave me showed me the light. I mean, I'd sit there in my room for hours, you know, trying to get his licks. Maceo Parker's one of, you know, and he's still doing it today too. He's amazing.
And the thing about it was, everyone back then on radio, before rock and roll really started to take over, was more jazz influence, very jazz.
Yeah. 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 Well, that was a whole other element, because if your chops are up where you could play some jazz, you know, but then, I mean, I went to Berkeley School of Music, and a lot of these guys were playing jazz and they were doing all this stuff, but I mean, they didn't make the success because they, you know, they up on their high horse, you know, they didn't want to come down and play music that people can understand, because you know, it's jazz is I'm not going to say it's like from outer space in a way. I mean, you got to be able to get those chops, and you just improvise on everything. I mean, I can remember playing some gigs in Europe in some clubs before I had my hit, and I remember I was in Geneva playing in a popular club there with a band called Tyrone Scott and Truth, and I'm playing, you know, the alto, but for him that was him, man. Man, why are you playing this jazz, man? We want to hear some disco. But I mean, I'd get up there and I'd be soloing, you know. But, you know.
But that's just the way it was, you know, back when you were a kid. That was what was around you. I mean, and of course, with that kind of talent, you have to think in your mind, if it can at least get halfway there, I'm going to be good. Because these guys, like Coltrane, they were like,
oh yeah,
yo, Duke Ellington,
oh man,
Count Basie,
oh yeah.
This is the creme. This is like, yo, look at the creme that I'm talking, right? At that level of height that you have to think, well, this is what we want to aspire to, or
oh yeah, Coltrane. I mean, Bird. I mean, these guys were like our idols. I mean, we'd dibble and dabble, but then, I mean, you'd have to be a lot more dedicated. These were dedicated musicians. I mean, I'm talking about paying your dues and woodshedding, man, these guys were like 6-7 hours a day.
Yeah.
I mean, I had to have some time to chase the girls. I mean, come on.
That's true. Well, that's the thing. You get to a point, yo, that horn don't sound so good anymore as good as a woman sounds.
Let's get back to music because I can get funny.
Ain't nothing fine like a good time.
Yeah. But well, I mean, when you're a kid, I mean, that's part of the
Oh, well, here, wait a minute. But wait a minute. You guys are making the band so you can look hot to pick up. Come on.
Yeah, it was part of the intrigue. It was
so.
part of the when you found out that the girls really kind of like levitated to you and you didn't have to really make an effort. I say running after girls, but I was like so shy. Because now that's another thing. Here I am, dyslexic, learning how to play an instrument. My first gig that I did at the high school with David Cardoza and there was a couple other guys, they're all Cape Verdean guys, so like their Cardozas and their Monteros and all of this stuff.
They're all a bunch of paisans. Really?
Yeah. And my first gig, I mean, I played with the audience to my back. I could not be in front of people. I was like playing in like that. I mean, I was doing I did that way before Miles Davis. I was playing with my back. I mean, now Miles Davis was doing it. But when I was like 16, I was so shy. I mean, I turned the mic around. I was crazy. My mom used to say, I don't know how in the hell you end up becoming a singer. But
yeah, I'm going to find out later, but we're going to get to that in a minute. But how in the hell? Yeah. But look, you know what? Everyone has that moment. It's like everything. If you never did this before in front of people, how do you expect to become really good at something if you never tried it? Of course, you're going to be scared out of your mind.
Oh, yeah.
Come on. Even if it's because, all right, it's your high school. It's your peers. It means the world to you to not F this up.
Yeah.
Because you know what's going to happen later.
Oh, no, but we did good. I mean, after that, yeah, it warmed up.
If you rock it, you're like a legend now at the school.
Exactly. That's right.
It's like, yo, we got one shot. If this doesn't go right, all right. So that's a good thing. So it went pretty well. And then you kept on going. And you know what? The more you're on stage, the better you get. It's like anything else.
Yeah.
Of course, if we had film to go back to see you there, you probably look like a knee-jerk reaction. You'd be, stressed a bit. Probably more.
Well, I've got a couple of pictures. I'll send them to you later. There's actually a picture of me standing up there with my back to the audience. Tall, lanky guy. Like that. And David Cardoza. It's David Cardoza. Well, we'll see what happened. Let's get back to kind of like what happened.
Yeah, what did happen?
So I'm doing these gigs with. My dad's taking us out on the weekends, and he's driving us, and he's got the truck, and we're all carrying the equipment, and we're low. You know how that goes. We were like doing everything and doing the show, breaking down, coming home, and then all of a sudden, David Cardoza, who was the center of everything, gets drafted.
Vietnam?
We got Vietnam happening. This is well, actually, yeah, it was just in the beginning of his 19. When I say 19, you go like, what?
I know.
1966, 65, 66.
I was going to say it's just around that.
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm like 15, 16, going 15. And, we're doing these gigs and everything's going good. And he gets drafted and he's like the main focus because he's the only guy. I was doing background stuff and playing saxophone, but I had no idea that I was ever going to be a singer. And so when he went off, at that same time, Chubby was with, at those days, it wasn't even Tavares, it was Chubby and the Turnpikes. All right. Now they were Chubby and the Turnpikes, and they were like already had a couple of things happening. They had a single that was out. I think it was Check It Out, it was called. But the brothers, there's like 5 of them, and somewhere along the line, they got in this war and they all broke up, and Chubby went out and did his own formula. And of course, he was looking for a saxophone player, and he had seen some things that I did, so he called me in. So I was playing with Chubby, playing saxophone behind him. And this went off about 6 months. It wasn't long, 6, 7 months. And then the brothers, being brothers, just made up, got back together again. And Chubby says, well, I like the saxophone player out of this group that I built. I want to take him with me. I want him in it. So, I mean, this is like, I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, man, I like playing with you guys. This is great. And like I said, they called me country because I lived in Wareham, Massachusetts. They lived in New Bedford. You know, well, in those days, it was like a 35-minute ride, you know, down the National Road. Now it takes about 10 minutes on the highway. But it was like, you know, I was country.
Country bumpkin, boy. A country bumpkin.
Yeah, I was the country bumpkin.
So then when you look at their city, your country. What's up, city?
There was city. And, you know, I liked it. I didn't mind. I kind of liked it. I wish I was still country because, I mean, that was the best time in my life. I had nothing to worry about. The brothers got everything together. They had been in this for a while, and they had all their gigs. Man, all I had to do was show up to the rehearsals, man, and, you know, get to the gigs, get in the van, you know, go up to Montreal. I mean, we were just like, you know, hunka-munkaroo in Puerto Rico. I mean, you know, and then, of course, after this is high school. This is the last year of high school. I was doing that, and then with the draft coming up,
yeah,
my father saying, "Well, son, you know you got to do your duty," and I'm going, "Yeah, but I'm having such a great time. You want me to do what?" He said, "Well, there's the Army, there's the Navy, there's the Air Force. So you should do it before they draft you because you can maybe you can choose." And I don't want to do any of that. He said, "Well, then you're going to go to school." I said, "Matter of fact, I had a scholarship to go down to a school down in Georgia because I was also an athlete. I was like a high hurdler. I was like in my region. I was like, you know, number one. I was like young and dumb. Didn't know I had all this talent. And I had a whole 4-year scholarship down in some school down in Howard, something. But they were going to give me a whole 4 years. All I had to do was keep my grades up and run. And they'd give me a scholarship to go to school.
Run, Forrest.
Yeah, right. And I said, yeah, but that means I got to leave Chubby and the Turnpikes. I mean, I love these guys, right? I got to leave Chubby and the Turnpikes.
Yo, that's hard.
You know, I'm in a group that I'm comfortable, man. We're playing up and down all over Massachusetts. I mean, you know, we're going into Puerto Rico and New York, and I said, I'm going to go down there and go to school. And I hated school because I'm dyslexic. I go back into college. I got to figure out how to read. So I'm going, no. And I said, oh, wait a minute. I'll go to Berklee School of Music. So my father ended up paying for me to go to Berklee School of Music because I could go to Berklee and I could still, you know, be in Boston, you know, Paul's Mall and Sugar Shack and all these clubs that were with the Mafia were playing all these clubs and everything. So I did that for a couple of years. Oh, that was interesting because that's where I first met Earth, Wind, and Fire, Kool and the Gang. Because in those days, we'd do like 2 weeks in a club. And like they'd have, you know, like 1 week, you know, Earth, Wind, and Fire would come up and play with us. And like, you know, it would start at 8 and finish at 1:30 because, you know, last call for alcohol. So one night, they'd open up, 45-minute set. Then Chubby and the Turnpikes, or now Tavares, would do the second set. And we'd do like, you know, 5 sets in the night. You know, and it was just great. Interesting story. Earth, Wind, and Fire, we did 2 weeks at Sugar Shack. And, of course, the Sundays would go out by the river that runs through Boston and would, you know, sit there trying to be French or something, you know, eating cheese and, you know, smoking a joint. You know, and everybody's sitting back there. And Morris White.
And joints weren't legal then.
Yeah, and that was not. Well, I mean, it seemed to be. I mean, we didn't have any problem with it. Nobody was like busting anybody's chops. I mean, if you weren't dealing, you know. But anyway, to make a long story short, Morris comes up with this statement, after all, like, you know, really feeling pretty nice. He says, you know, I was in my charts last night, and Earth, Wind, and Fire is going to be one of the biggest bands that ever existed. And we all started cracking up, going, yeah, right, Morris. Right. You know, pass the joint. I mean, but I mean, he was so into the stars, into this. I mean, he was, of course, an amazing, fantastic artist. arranger, writer, and everything. But I mean, we were all in those days. We were just like, we're all kind of like equals and doing our thing. We're just hanging out and having fun. You know.
Was this during the time when they had Evil out at that era, or was
Well,
it?
this is the time where actually he was playing that African calypso. Remember when he was playing that? He would be up front playing that. What do you call it? Kalimba. Kalimba, yeah. And that was kind of like, and they were doing. This was before Bailey. What's his name?
Philip
Yeah,
Bailey.
Philip Bailey. Before he was in there, I never got a chance to meet him, but that was like way down the road. I'm talking about. This is like when we were children. I mean, we were like really like young and dumb and just having a good time.
And when you say a week in the club, I mean
2 weeks.
You played every
whenever
night?
you went to a club, you went 2 weeks. You were 2 weeks in the club because you had your following. They were there every night. I think we had Monday night off or something, but it was like,
So you
and I mean, in those days,
that's a different way of doing it. Just people are like,
hey, 2 weeks, and in those days, we would the bands would play and everybody would be dancing and partying, and then when they'd have that 15-minute break, everybody would sit down and have a drink, and then the disc jockey would play whatever he wanted to play, but nobody would be dancing to the disc jockey. That was like, a disc jockey. Well, he was the poor guy, but they've come a long way, haven't they?
Oh yeah.
I mean, I have nothing against it. There's a lot of great stuff out there that happened because of these, productions that they've come up to do.
But if this is early in the game, this is really early in the game. What you're talking about?
Oh yeah, 2 weeks.
1970, 71. You're talking like really early in the game.
I mean, and working in these mafia clubs in Boston was like really, this was serious stuff. It didn't happen to me, but Tony Lytle, who used to and then ended up taking a lot of people to Europe, like Rufus and all these LA groups. And he went in there. I don't know what group he was in there with. I don't know if it was Rufus or what, but they were doing 2 weeks in there. And a group couldn't come in for that second week. And Tony went into the office. This is the Sugar Shack. I shouldn't be saying all this stuff. But anyway, Tony came and said, he said, I gotta talk to you. I gotta talk to you. You guys gotta stay another 2 weeks. And he said, yeah, but we have to be in Philadelphia. And no, you don't understand. You gotta stay here another 2 weeks. And the more, Tony was kind of saying, but took the gun, put it on the table, and said, you don't understand. Ba-doom. You got to stay here another 2 weeks. That's the kind of stuff that was happening.
Here's the answer for everybody else. I guess we're all staying another 2 weeks.
That's right. Guess what, guys? We're staying here another 2 weeks.
What? You guys, I got to tell the other guys, what do you mean we're staying here another 2 weeks? We're staying here another 2 weeks. You don't understand why.
Yeah.
Dealt with Tony Little.
Yeah. Crazy.
He wasn't playing. He pulled out a piece.
Mm-mm.
Right.
But anyway, so where were we? Let's get back on track here.
So
all of these stories, like all of these things.
These are part of it. This gets you, has to bring you to where you go, because this is all part of your life. You're inside all this.
Okay, so I mean, we're doing this, like I said, working with other great artists, not realizing how great these artists were at the time, because everybody was kind of like in the same boat, having hits, not the big deal, but doing that, and so Butch falls in love with Lola Falana, and they get married.
She was all over the TV in those days. All over
Lola. Oh, those eyes. No, everything was beautiful, but I mean, she was
hot. Great number, Lola Falana.
Yeah, and so what happened was that she had some things happening in Italy, because she had a couple of singles out. She had sang in Italian and everything. So I mean, because I think she was, with Sammy Davis Jr. in Las Vegas now. So she was like had a little career going on with this. So they wanted her to go do a month tour, and of course, she wants Chubby and the Turnpikes to go back her up, do an open up act and back her up through her tour so that she could have the best of both worlds. She could have her husband just got married, and go on the tour with her. So anyway, we go over to we land in Milano, and we start working for a guy named Doug Folks, who was at that time had a couple of Italian groups, and later on was bringing in Barry White and all these big groups. But anyway, make a long story shorter because it could get very long. So we do a month in Italy, which was grueling because we weren't really used to getting to it. We're used to doing those 2 weeks here and 2 weeks there. And they had us on a bus going from piazzas to piazza in the middle of nowhere, up in the mountains and down in the hills by the sea. And every other day or every day, we'd be in a different place. And the worst part about it was the band was in the bus, and Butch and Lola were in the Mercedes. Going, and we'd follow them, and they'd follow us, or didn't meet us up where we were supposed to be. And it got kind of tiresome after a while because we were used to having not just being in a hotel every other night. It's the first time I've ever been really on the road, and not in Italy, you didn't have any action. There was no the Italian girls weren't going to kiss you on the cheek, So there was a lot of tension going on. I mean, I can remember Puddin in the bus making advances at Lola's secretary, and I was like being gallant. We ended up having a fight. I mean, it was crazy, but Puddin was the bass player. He used to be. They used to work with the Blue Notes way back when. Puddin and Hank. And we stole them from the Blue Notes to come play with us. But,
wow.
So anyway, so we go to make a long story. Just get it. I'm there, and we're doing these shows. And this guy, Doug Folks, starts talking to the band saying, you guys are like really, really nice. I want you guys to stay here in Europe, leave the brothers, the band, and stay here in Europe. And I can make you guys really big in Italy because, we were doing, the band would go out and we'd do Sly and the Family Stone, and we'd be doing Shotgun. I mean, we're doing all of these things that were like really, fun.
Popular tunes all over the place.
Yeah, and the guitar player could do Jimi Hendrix like it was crazy, So we were doing Sly and the Family Stone, Jimi Hendrix, like 3 or 4 songs before the brothers would come out doing 3 or 4 songs. I mean, we had like a 3-hour show that we were doing, and so he's talking to the band. I want you guys to stay, and the guys are going, yeah, let's stay, man. Let's do it. Let's do it. And of course, the last minute, the night before we're leaving, everybody's going, no, we can't stay here, man. We're going back home. And I'm thinking about it. So finally, when we finally got to get on the plane and everybody's giving their passports, I said, you know what, guys, I'm staying here. And everybody got on the plane and they said, oh man, country, we're going to see you in Montreal. You got 2 weeks, man. Enjoy, blow off your steam. You got 2 weeks. And the worst part about it, I only had $200 in my pocket.
Right. So that's a big decision to make with no cash. I mean,
I had no cash. No cash because the gigs weren't doing that. I mean, the gigs were doing good, but there was some type of a stipulation where they were putting us in bad hotels. And the brother said, I don't care. We'll pay for our hotels ourselves. They went in all this thing. So we had nicer hotels, but that meant the payday at the end of a month was like, I mean, that's what I was making a week back home. And it was like, okay. So, but I was kind of like leaning on Doug because I'm going, okay, we're in Milano. And I went back to Cannes with Doug. And then I stayed there for like 4 or 5 days. And a couple of his acts were coming. And I felt like he was going to take me and get rid of his other acts. I was stupid. He was going to try to keep everybody working. I said, Doug, I don't know. I think I got to get to England. I got to get to England. I can't speak these languages. Couldn't speak Italian. Forget French. I got to get to England. That was in my brain. Get to England, man. I wish I did. I think I would have done better in England. But anyway, to make a long story short, got $200 and paid like a $30 or $40 train ticket to go up to Paris because I'm going to stop in Paris for 1 day. I leave Doug, get the train, get to Paris on a Sunday. And I got to a cab driver that kind of spoke. I said, where can I go where things are happening? So he takes me to Saint-Germain, which was like the spot, Saint-Germain. And I get into a Find this hotel for like $50. And I, got there for the night. I walked around a little bit, got up, woke up in the morning. So I'm $75 short of my 200. It's 130, right? But I'm still thinking I'm going to get to London. Little did I know I would have never made it because I didn't have enough money. They would have never let me in. Right. But anyway, so I'm going, all right, I'm going to get up and I'm going to go to the train station. And I'm going to London. And I'm having breakfast. And I hear this guy speaking English. So I start speaking English with him. He says, "What you doing there?" And I told him, I'm a saxophone player. On my way to London. He says, "You play saxophone?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "This afternoon, I'm doing, I do cinema, and there's a cinema, and I have this show that I'm doing. It's like a 45, 50-minute presentation where there's no music, there's no nothing. It's just colors, aerial shots of people walking in the street. It's like an artsy thing. How about you coming and, sitting in the middle of the audience and just playing whatever you see, you play to it." Okay. And I go, "How much does it pay?" He said, $100. I said, "I'll be there."
Perfect.
So I've got my first gig, so I'm sitting in the audience and just, whatever I see, if it's flashy, I do flashy. If it's quiet, I do. And I did that for 50 minutes and he was happy, gave me my money. And I'm going, well, no, it's 5:00 in the afternoon. I guess I'm leaving. I'm going to stay another day, another $50. And I guess I'm going to have to go tomorrow, but I'm still up. I paid $50. I got another 50. So I'm back to like 180 now because it's, it's working out. So I go back to my hotel. I said, let me go see what else going on in Saint-Germain. And I'm walking down the street. Now, this is where it gets crazy. I'm walking down the street and I see this brother sitting on a car, literally sitting there. And when I'm walking by, he says, "Hey, you're American, right?" Because I'm thinking he's French. I don't know. I said, "Yeah." He says, "Oh, man, what you doing?" I said, when I kind of explained to him, what I'm doing. I'm on my way to London and everything. He says, "Well, let's go out. These clubs I'm going." Even in those days, it was $20 a drink. I mean, everything was in dollars in my head. It was 100 francs or something, but it was like $20.
That's expensive, even back then.
Yeah, it was like you went to a place. It was 100 francs, and it was like $20.
Yo, that's expensive even then. Yo, that's
expensive.
And
he said, "No, don't worry about it, man. We'll go to Shaki Pesh, Blue Note. I mean, all these jazz clubs, man. They don't bother you. They let you in if you want to drink. You don't want to drink. They just want to have the parties in there." And then I said, "Yeah, but man, I don't feel good doing that." He said, "Yeah, come on." Next thing I know, he breaks out a joint. I don't drink. Now listen, don't get me wrong. It's okay. I don't do that. I stopped back in 1982. I think it's the last time I smoked. I mean, I got paranoia. But anyway, I don't do that. I haven't done that for years.
Oh, but we're talking now, it's early 70s. So
this was 1971. I was 21 years old.
Yeah, it's a different time.
Yeah, I did my 21st birthday up in the mountains in Italy. That's not really mountains. It was mountains for me. It was like they have these hills up there. Funny thing happened there. I took a Fanta and put it in my mouth. A bee stung me on my mouth way up in the middle of nowhere. Thank God I wasn't allergic. 21 on my birthday. But anyway, here I am in Paris. So the guy breaks out this, doobie, and hey, I started feeling like little Jimi Hendrixy, and I'm saying, "Yeah, well, let's go out." And then he said, "What's your name?" And I said, "My name's Leroy." And he says, "My name's Leroy too." And I go, "What?" "Yeah, my name's Leroy." So Leroy was leaving to go to New York next day, and I was Leroy going to go to London. We go out, we go to all these jazz clubs, and I'm talking with musicians, and I'm leaving my telephone number at the hotel where I am, because in those days we didn't have cell phones. If anyone wants to call
cell phones,
I'm at this hotel.
I'm staying here.
Yeah, I'm gonna be there for midday if anything's happening, right? Man, I go back to my hotel. It's like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm gonna go to this place where they were selling a baguette. You could get a baguette with French fries in it. If you had to pay a little bit more, you could put a sausage in it, or you could put different types of meats in it, and with mustard because they didn't do ketchup. And that was like a great, great meal. So I went and got a sandwich with French fries, which I still love today. There's nothing better than a sandwich with just French fries in it. But anyway, so I'm sitting there literally on the street with my bell-bottom pants, and this guy comes walking across the intersection wearing a suit jacket, red, green, yellow, black, red, green. It was all striped, right? Cowboy necklace, cowboy scarf around his neck, Converse shoes with holes in them, and a pair of jeans. And he walks up and he says, "Hey, mate, my name's Hugo, and I saw you last night at the Blue Note." And he's got this thick Cockney accent, right? And he spoke English, so that was great. I just loved it. I could speak with someone with English. Sure. And anyway, to make a long story short, Hugo says, "You don't want to go to London. You want to stay here, man. I'm going tonight. I'm going out in the country at this farm where there's like a bunch of musicians, and they're playing all of these marimbas and African things and all that. And you can stay there. All you have to do is pay for your food. Where we put money in the pot. And the only rule is you don't mess with their women." I said, "I can do that." So I ended up going 2 weeks out in the country, man, with just, bunch of hippies out there, right? Doing the French, because this is the time of hair.
Right.
All right. So everybody wanted to be a hippie. And as a matter of fact, I'm telling Hugo, man, I got to go because I'm going to London. He says, "No, man, you got to stay because hair is breaking up, and we're going to take the band that's playing behind them, and we're going to make a band, and we're going to be working." And I'm going, "Man, you serious?" He says, "Yeah, we're going to make a long story short." So I ended up getting involved with the hair and all these. A guy named Bill Combs was playing the guy with the big afro and everything. And it was like everybody was psychedelic, and I'm having a great time. So London is getting kind of like in the back burner. Next thing I know, there's the band doing the gigs on the weekend, and I'm sitting in, and then we put the band together, and then we end up having a house outside of Paris, and London was a long way away, which brings me to another point. I started doing session work because I was coming from the States. I had a different sound on the saxophone,
sure,
and still not really thinking about singing. Singing was not. I was still a saxophone player. And so I was working with guys like Patrick Gervais. We was doing some things over there. I had to do some backup vocals to people like Gilbert Bécaud. I was doing all the session work. I started getting session work. So I'm making money. So London was starting to look like
never going
to go.
Yeah, it's never going to happen now because you get more comfortable in the Parisian.
Yeah, and then of course,
style.
You fall in love, and then you find yourself saying, "Should I live with this girl? I'll stay with the band." Or I ended up staying with the band more because I'm saying, no, it wasn't going to happen. But there was a young lady that was, kind of a love interest, which kind of kept me there too. But so let's jump forward. Now, this is 71, 72, 73 when I had met the love of my life, Tequila, when I first got there in 71. But she was like she was in the group with all the other musicians, and she had a boyfriend, and we were like friends and everything. I never, I looked at her like, yeah, she's fine, but she's got somebody, and I was hanging out with somebody, and so like, and I was staying in the band in our little place in Pantin, which is like borderline Paris. Am I just dribbling off? Am I just going off like?
It's interesting. That was wonderful because we got to get to the point where this whole thing clicks.
Oh yeah, we get up to where things starts to click. Things are starting to click. They were.
There's
hard
one
guys.
question I have in this hair thing. Donna Summer's also playing in that same arena.
No,
too.
Donna was in the German.
So the German was separate than the French one, right?
Oh yeah, here was like a franchise. They'd have everywhere they'd have their group that they'd put them in Germany, and I guess maybe of course in England, France. I don't know where other places that they might have, but Donna was involved in the German. So we're going in through the same thing. And she's from Springfield, which is 2 hours from where I was brought up.
Right. That's
You
what
know?
I'm saying, because I'm listening to the story and I'm going, Donna also was in her own way dealing with doing similar things from a vocalist standpoint,
Yeah,
actor,
yeah,
artist.
yeah, yeah,
And you're coming in similar too in a different way, but
yeah.
session
Here,
work.
here was an important uh, trampoline or a place where we could like bounce off of that because it was popular and no matter what language it was in. I mean, it was like it was like Taylor Swift is today. I mean, the hair, it was like that. But back to the drawing board. So here I am doing some gigs. If shit got bad, excuse me for the language, but if things got like shaky, man, because there's one time I was living with this young lady. What's her name? God.
This is one before you got married.
Oh yeah, yeah. It'll come back. But anyway, I thought I was in love until tequila got a hold of me. But anyway, so I mean, like I was with her for a couple of 3 months, man. Like when things were like really rough, man. I'd go up to Montmartre, man, with the guitar, and sit under the tree where Edith Piaf sang, and just sing a couple of country and western tunes, whatever I could get out, man. In a matter of an hour and a half, 2 hours, I finished paying off the rent. But I'm not ashamed to say that there were lean moments.
Yeah.
My dad once sent me $500 somewhere along. Thank God, at one point I cried. He sent me like $500 that got me through like 6 months with all the rest of it. I mean,
That's the life of a musician. It's a tough life. And
yeah,
gigging to gigging, it's session to session, and it dries out at times.
yeah. But so but the only thing so if you have to go out in the street and do it a couple of days or whatever, I'd actually, matter of fact, on the Champs-Elysees, I remember playing the guitar and they're going into the cinema and I'm playing the guitar, singing and passing the hat, and they say, "Hey, I just paid the rent. I'll go back home."
Right.
Hey, good. You're bringing this all back to me now. So here I am playing with a group called Tyrone Scott and Truth, and we're doing pretty good. And we're going to doing gigs, in Switzerland and in a few places. And then disaster struck. We used to have a guy by the name of Michael that was in hair that didn't want to grow up and was doing mescaline and acid and all that. He was never straight. And in the house, he had a room and he had his wife who was there who was pregnant.
Oh Lord.
And he was like high and doing all these crazy things. And the boys in the band didn't want him in the band anymore, but everybody was scared of him because he had like 30 pounds of muscle over everybody else. The kid was just young and beautiful and like, he was like, Tunisian mixed with French, he was like, like a gladiator. But anyway, to make a long story short, but he couldn't get his head straight. After hair, because he thought that's the way it was supposed to be for the rest of his life. So anyway, one day he had Annie up in the room with a hammer, 6 months pregnant, tapping around her feet with a hammer, wanting her to dance, man. And I mean, everybody else was scared shitless, bad words, scared of the guy. But here I come, knight in shining armor. And I run in and I said, "Michael, you got to stop this right now, man. Get out. Nobody wants you here." And I guess he must have been a little bit scared of me because I wasn't that small.
Yeah,
Oh, wait a minute.
You're
Wait a minute.
by yourself.
Wait a minute. About 3 weeks before that, Michael was backstage picking on some of the other people in behind the curtains and hair. And I told him he had to stop it. So we went outside after the show and we had a fight. I mean, like we had a dragged out fight. I'm talking about, I had him down. I had my fingers in his eyes because he was bigger than me. So I was like, I got to do something, but I couldn't do it. I was like, that. No, I'm not going to take this guy's eyes. Next thing I know, he had me down. He had his fingers in my eyes. And I'm just squirreling around, getting up, because I played football and stuff. So I knew how to kind of like, go through this stuff. And Bill Holmes said, okay, that's enough of this. And he broke us up. And I was going like, oh my God, thank God for this. Cause man, this was not gonna
This
be
is gonna
good.
end really bad. This is gonna
Yeah,
end.
this was not gonna be good for me. And we're at the metro, you know, those metros, you go down those metros, and Bill had his like a big afro. He was because that was the part he was playing in hair. He took it off, and he was bigger than the both of us. He took off his wig and he threw it on the ground. He said, Michael, we've had enough of you. Now you got to stop. And Michael said, yeah, you want some of me? And he went like this. And he just gave one hit. Bam! And he went rolling down the metro, down the stairs, right? And he was laying down there all by himself. Nobody liked this guy because he was like bad news. And everybody went, oh. And I'm just saying, Bill, man, thank you so much. You just saved my life. He says, no, man, he deserved it. You know. So now he's back in the band. No, by that time we had thrown him out in the band, and he's trying to come back because he wants to see his wife, and he's tapping and things. And I go back in the room. Are we talking music, or are we just talking craziness? But this is stuff.
You have to. This is all part of what happened to get you to Santa Esmeralda. Come on.
All right, this is what happened. Now
nobody's heard of any of this stuff. That's why I'm sitting here going, keep telling us.
Right. Now here's Michael. He's in there. He had come back to get his stuff. He came with 3 other guys with suitcases to get his stuff. And he went up in the room with Annie, and he was messing with her. And that's when I said, Michael, man, you got to go. Get your stuff and go, right? And then he looks at me with like a smile on his face, like I said, this isn't going the right way here. So I said, okay, Michael, get your stuff, man. Just get out of here. So like there was like one room here, one room there. There was a bathroom, and then there was these stairs going down. And so I said, okay, man, Michael, just get your stuff because I know this isn't going good for me. So I'm going to the bathroom. So I'm going to the bathroom. I open the door. I get in the bathroom, and I'm trying to shut the door, and he got his foot in the door. And he kicks the door, and he says, Leroy, I've been waiting for this. And I'm going, okay. And as I look, him and his other buddies had these bats that they took out of the suitcases. They had these little bats, clubs. They weren't even bats like baseball. They were like clubs. And I'm going, oh, Michael, stop messing around. I'm trying to shut the door, man. And he just slams that door open. I've got a split decision to make here. I look, there's some scissors on the sink. I said, I'm not going to take that because he's going to take away from them and use them on me. He had just kicked the teeth out of Annie's brother 10 days prior to that. He had in a fight with the brother and took out all of his teeth. Just the kind of guy he was. So I'm going, okay. I look back, there's a window. I said, man, if I turn my back on these guys, I'm dead. So he opens the door, and the only thing I can think about is running the gauntlet because we're in a small space. They got the bats up, and they're going about to hit me. So I get down, I crunch down, football practice, and I do the gauntlet. And I start elbowing, going up, and I just got to get down them stairs, man. I know I got to get out of there. It was flight. What I mean, this is like the gorillas are out. So I'm down there doing this, and they can only hit me on my shoulders, and I'm doing this, and I'm hitting them in the legs and the balls. I'm just get out of there. So I got to go through them to get out of this. And I'm going down the stairs because it was a tight squatter. And on the way down, somebody hits me right on the top of my head. And I'm getting a little dizzy, but I'm going down. But luckily, I was on a downstroke. So kind of the whole, the impact wasn't that bad. It was bad enough, but I got to get out of there. So I'm going down the stairs. I'm at 100 miles an hour. And I get down the bottom of the stairs, and all the guys in the band are up against the wall like this. And I'm sitting there, nobody's going to help me here. Oh, I go out the door. This is like 7-foot gate behind the thing. I straddle that thing, and I'm straddling it with between my legs. Now, this is the winter time, okay? I had a jumpsuit on, and I was barefoot, and it was snowing. And I'm standing up on the top of that thing, and Michael's down come out, because they're right behind me. He says, get down here, Leroy. I said, you got to be kidding me, man. I jump over the thing, barefoot in the snow, and I'm running down the street. Wow. And the door they couldn't get the door open. So that gave me a little bit of leadway here, I had 10 seconds on it. So I'm running down the street, and there's this little, I guess it was It was a little smaller car coming down the street.
Right.
Man, I just run up to this guy. This guy hits his brakes. He's sliding in the snow. I land on his hood like this. And he's going in French. I'm going, da, 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 man. I open the door and I'm getting in the car and he's trying to get me out of the car. And I'm pointing them, look what's coming, buddy. And when he sees these guys coming with with the bats, man, he just drives right through them, right? And he takes me to the police station. So here I am at the police station, barefoot in the snow, trying to explain in French what's going on, right? And that's the first time I've been in a police station where the guys are drinking beer. I mean, this is France, right? To make a long story shorter than that, that's when I went back to the band and I said, no, I'm sorry. No, I stayed with them for a little bit because here comes Elton John. I stayed with them for a little bit more, a couple of weeks. And this is another crazy story because I play a little guitar. And I was sitting on a Fender guitar, the amp, with a beautiful Fender guitar, Bob Love, who had this beautiful Fender, and I was playing the song. And I was learning the chords too. It's a little bit funny, this feeling inside. I'm not one of those who can easily. I'm learning the chords, right? And I'm trying to learn the song. And the phone rings in the kitchen. And Bob says, hey, Michael wants to talk to you. This is Michael McEwen, who I worked with, Lafayette Afro rock band. And because we had been doing gigs, doing blues things and doing all kinds of stuff in the studio. And he gets me on the phone. He says, Elton's out here in Arrowville, man. He's looking for a saxophone player. I said, yeah, okay. He said, man, you can do the gig, man. He had 2 guys come out here, some French guys, man. They're not cutting it, man. And he really wants to put a saxophone on this track. I said, yeah, okay, Michael. Man, it's like 8 o'clock at night. I'm not dressed to go out. I'm in my pajamas. I'm learning. And it's funny that I'm learning an Elton John song. I hang up on Michael and I go back to learning the song. Maybe 20 minutes later, Michael's at the door. He said, man, Leroy, man, you gotta do this gig. Because he was out there doing some stuff in Arrowville. And he got pretty close to, Elton, because Elton's pretty cool. He's talking with him and stuff. So he said, man, you can do this gig. I'm, oh, man, Michael, come on, Elton John, come on. Make a long story short, he drags me to this van. He had this Ford, this big guzzling Ford van that he sometimes had to live out of. And I said, but Michael, man, you sure? He said, come on. So he takes me to the cafe. I had a couple of Pelforths. I don't know if you ever had a Pelforths, a brown beer. I had 2 of those. And after that, yeah, I'm ready. So we drive out to Arrowville. It's about 45-minute ride from Paris, 45, maybe an hour. Mm-hmm. And by the time we get there, it's midnight.
Okay.
So the offices are closed. Everything's closed. So we go up through the back way because Elton was upstairs in the in Studio B, sweetening things, putting on some background vocals, piano, and all that stuff. So we get up and we're walking up the stairs, and the red light's on. So we know we can't go in. And you can hear faintly in the background Elton going, on the ground, la, 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 la. I'm going, what the hell is this shit? Because you can hear the music. You just hear him doing the sweetening on the top of it, right? And he's doing that for about half an hour. And I'm going, okay, man, all right. But I mean, he's dropping the tracks, and these guys were like the top. I mean, he had his whole crew in there. So anyway, red light goes out. Michael opens up the door, and I come in behind Michael, and he says, Elton, I got your saxophone player. Elton's at the piano. Okay. And Elton says, oh, you found somebody? He said, yeah. Well, he didn't say it like that because he had that I can't do an English accent. Hey, Mike, you found somebody? Yeah. And he says, what's your name? I go, Leroy. No. We get a little introduction there at the piano. And Elton looks up into the booth, says, shut everything down and bring up this track called Social Disease. And we're going to lay down the saxophone. He had 2 tracks that I did, but Social Disease was one of it. And once we beat that barrier, it became just musician to musician. You listen to the track, you lay it down where he wanted it. And we passed a great night. We stayed through the whole night with them while they were recording. And we got up in the morning and went out and had some croissants and everything in the yard out there.
Right.
talking with everybody, man. It was great because I mean, Elton had all these sweet cars, man. You know, and this first time I saw cars with the wheel on the wrong side of the car. You know, these beautiful Mercedes and all that stuff. You know, and so we're talking, and then everybody was saying like, you know, they're gonna go to bed. She says, yeah, we're going back to Paris, and so we're telling everybody goodbye. And I turned my back, and Elton says, well, don't you want to get paid? I said, damn, that's right. And he said, well, how much I owe you? And I gave him my going rate that I do for everybody. He says, oh, no. You're worth more than that, and you paid me double. He said, don't sell yourself short, man. There comes that COVID. I definitely can't sing. Not with this cough.
No, we're getting the inside scoop though.
Yeah, so Elton paid me double scale, you know, which was like, you know, gave me kind of like when I started doing other gigs, I started asking for it. Wasn't always getting it, but I'd get a, you know, scale and a half. You know, once they found out I was playing with Elton, things got a little bit better too.
Oh yeah, of course. It's like, yo, you played with Elton John?
Yeah.
Oh.
So here we are. Let's get back to the meat because you want to know what happened. How did Santa Esmeralda stuff happen, right?
Well, I think everybody likes to know that, but I'm glad we got the inside scoop of the session work because that's an important part to the journey.
Yeah. So like I said, I was living off that, you know, doing gigs and playing with different groups of who was that rocker? I mean, I was doing rock and roll gigs.
American or English?
An English guy. He ended up going crazy. Another one that got off on psychedelic stuff, man. That didn't come back. What was his name? He was like a
trying to think.
Elvis Presley kind of he was a rock and roller. Like he'd come out dressed in black and everything. And half the time he was so high. I remember one gig I did, I ended up doing the show, you know, because it was all rock and roll, you know. So I'd go up there even if I didn't know the words. It was all the French people didn't know. And we'd do. And he was so high one night, I ended up having to take the mic away from him and singing, finishing the gig. What was his name?
Do you remember any of the songs?
Well, I really wasn't that much into rock and roll. You know, I did the gigs because they paid well. But what was his name? A-B. Here's how I used to remember things. A, B, C. It started with an R. Anyway.
I can't say Robert Plant from the
No. It wasn't any of that. But you know, way back in those days, I had a friend, and his name is F.R. David, who ended up doing a thing called Words, which did very well in the 80s. But he had a little recording studio. And there was a young English guy that came over to the studio just looking for work. He'd do anything, you know, he'd play the piano or whatever, play the drums, you know. He just wanted a gig, and there was no room for him. But Phil Collins.
It's Phil Collins?
Came into the studio one day looking for a gig. He was coming out of England, and he actually came and said, you know, came in the studio. He said, you know, I play the drums and I sing and I do all this stuff, you know. And we said, well, you know, our team is kind of there, you know. And then we talked a little bit, and then he took off. But this was like before he did put the group together with was it Genesis?
Yep.
Yeah, just crazy. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on. I mean, you bump into people, you know.
A lot of things are basically beginning at that time.
Yeah.
And the sound is beginning. The change is beginning. There's a lot of things that were happening at that time.
Yeah, it was on the cusp. You know, the 71, 72, 73, you know. So, Linda. Girl was named Linda. Little blonde-haired, blue-eyed thing. She had me going crazy, but then Tequila, we were friends, and then we did a gig in Beirut, and then one thing led to another, and I fell in love. It was like there was nothing I could see with Tequila. She was on the part of Santa Esmeralda because she was my inspiration from then on in. And
Is that
that's Tequila. That's Tequila. She passed away in 2005. That's my baby. That's Tequila, the love of my life. And this is when we just started with Santa Esmeralda. I was 27. You know, I think she's a little older. She's like 28 or 29. And that's the girl. God,
That's the girl on the cover. That's the girl on the cover of the record too, right?
No, the one that they did, because see that we had the European version, and then we had the aftermath of the breakup, where they saw that they were breaking up with me.
Wait. So wait.
All right, let's go back. Let's first see how I got the gig.
So Phil Collins is hanging out. You're getting around him.
Yeah.
And you're the American guy in Paris.
Working with guys like Patrick Jouvet, and there was a couple of other guys that are still doing well.
Theo Van Ness too, was it? Was it Theo Van Ness you worked with?
No. But have you ever heard of Rock Collection? Laurent Voulzy was a French guy that did a thing called Rock Collection, where he took all of the rock and roll songs and he put it all together in a little interlude where he wrote something, and he made a very big hit. But working in the studio, and then if Robert, F.R. David, I was working with all these guys. And Don Ray, in the studio doing things with Don Ray. But as a sideman coming in, 3-hour session, maybe we might work into a 2-hour session. I mean, a 6-hour session, whatever. And, those are, they were hits. Get you hit them, hit and run, get your money and run. And Don Ray in 72, 73, I mean, we were like good friends with Tequila and Mara, his wife at the time, who passed away also. That was another bad story, but they were very good friends. So that got me to meet Don Ray, and we were like hanging out, at the house, as children, and, and doing some gigs on once in a while here and there, but there was no thing like we're going to put anything together, So now we're talking December 1976. I'm over some friend's house, and there's this guy by the name of Sam Schweika. And Sam was Spanish. He was Spanish Jew, okay? And his family came from a town called Schweika, which I learned later because I bought a house about 45 minutes from there in Spain years later. But anyway, Sam was one of these. He worked at one of the radio stations. There was only 2 of them anyway, 2 radio stations.
Yeah.
And he worked at, I don't know which one, but he worked at one of them, classifying the records and putting them in order for the DJs when they would come. So we're sitting, because we're all just hanging out. And we're sitting over some friend's house, and he takes out the guitar. And he starts playing Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood in a very bad flamenco way and trying to sing it. Very bad. This is in December. And we all thought it was amusing, but, let's move on to something else. Right. January comes around, and I'm sitting at the table with a friend of mine, Marcel, who was a psychic, who I never asked her anything, because she was just somebody we had fun, go to Saint-Tropez and do all these things. And she had a beautiful house in Saint-Tropez. I should have known she was good because she was making a lot of money with what she was doing. She was doing all of the diplomats would come and ask her stuff, But she was Marcel. I'm not going to ask her anything. And we're sitting at the table in my house, my little apartment. And she looks at me and she says, Leroy, you've got these 5 stars over your head. Something amazing is going to happen. And I'm going, yeah, what? She says, I don't know, but something is really great is going to happen. About 3 weeks later, I get this phone call from Nicolas Skorsky, who says, yeah, I'm working on a project. By that time, I was speaking pretty good French, and everybody's speaking pidgin English, so we could all, get together. My French was getting better. He says, I'd like you to come in and listen to something. We'd like to have you sing on it. I said, okay. So I go in there, and apparently they had gone to London with Sam Schweika singing Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood to a horrible arrangement, flamenco. And I'm listening to this, and I said, well, this really doesn't tell me anything. And I said, well, he said, well, we're going to do it over again. This is not what we're going to do. We're going to take this idea and we're going to come and we're going to do it here in France. And we're going to go in the studio. And they told me the studio where they were going to do it. I said, it's a good studio. I said, well, who's going to arrange it? And they said, well, his name is Raymond Donez. They called him Don Ray later, but it was Raymond. And he goes, Raymond Donez. I said, Raymond's going to do the arrangements? Okay, well, let's look at the contract. Because, I mean, anything Raymond, because he was starting to work with, this is 76. He was starting to he was doing things with Claude Francois, doing disco things. And I think it was about the same time he was working with Cerrone.
Yep.
And I'm going like, oh, if Raymond's doing this, yeah, I'm in.
I'm down.
Yeah, Raymond's doing it. So I got one of them contracts, I got a contract, not knowing that no matter what they gave me, they weren't going to give me what they said they were going to give me anyway. But
basically, I'm starting a Mickey Mouse. I'm sorry,
I've had 50-50 splits since then. I do 50-50 split deals. I never seen any money. They all get the stuff all over the internet. Where's my split? But anyway, so we do the contract, and they said, well, this is a song. You're my everything. We need somebody to write the words. I said, okay, I'll write the words to it. And I was like, this was like end of January, February, something like that. And this is all going on for me. This is just another gig. I'm not, okay, I got a contract. We're going to go to the studio. Nobody's thinking about hits, nothing like that. It's another gig that's programmed to be in the studio in March or May. I think we're going to go in May. And my parents were coming. So my parents came. And I got them in my little Alfa Romeo because I was still doing good. I was doing gigs, man. I was making money hand over fist. And in those days, everything was cash money. So you could plan. You could put money aside. So my parents came and I had to do a gig in Switzerland. So we did the gig and then we ended up going to Rome. We just did all that stuff. And then I had to come back to do this session for this album, which was basically one long song, You're My Everything, and Gloria, and another song called Black Part that I wrote the words to. So, I'm preparing. I'm in on the road with my parents, and we're writing words to songs and stuff. I remember You're My Everything. I wrote that like 3 o'clock in the morning in Courchevel, after doing the gig. My baby was sleeping, and I'm writing down the words, in love. You're my everything. Young and dumb, not knowing what you're doing, just doing it. And so we go with my parents. We go to Rome. We take like 3 weeks. When I came back from that trip, I was broke.
Question on that You're My Everything example. Did you hear any music composition yet, or that just came from melody in your mind? What you were hearing?
No. The melody now. These producers were slick. There was a guy that had this idea. I think he just had You're My Everything. And they had a little demo of it. And they got Don Ray to finish the song. Put the melody. Because Don Ray actually wrote the melody. And this guy who had the idea, they bought it. Gotcha. Put their name on it. Nice. I got my name as the lyricist, and this is where the stuff gets really funny because this guy, so bad I have to forget his name. The other producer said, "Yeah, but I have a French lyric, and I want to keep my French lyrics." I said, "Well, I'll keep my English lyrics, and you keep your French lyrics. All right? We're not putting your lyrics on the thing. You do whatever you want with it," which he did very good with it later, but I'll explain about that. So I come back from this tour with my parents. We had like another 3 or 4 days, and we're sitting in Élysée Matignon, which was like the place. Elton was in there. Cerrone, everybody. This was the place. Élysée Matignon, like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Raymond's there. Don Ray's there, and everybody's feeling pretty good, right? And I said, "Don't we have a session tomorrow?" He says, "Oh, shoot." I want to say the word that he said. He said, "Yeah, we do. 12 o'clock. I start putting down, I mean, the strings. Everybody's going to be there.
Right.
He shoots out of there at 5 o'clock in the morning. And at 12 o'clock, he's got everything written out. Okay. There was like, I think 12 strings, you know, everything like that, because they doubled everything. They put 12 and then it became 24. And he put all the parts out, the drum parts, the things. I mean, to Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood. I mean, Gloria was not a problem because we did that later. It was like, we just did a kickoff of the original Animals tune. And he goes, 1, 2, 3, 4, boom. And they hit it. The violins and everything. They do one thing, then they take a take. Then, you know, and next thing you know, with about 6 hours later, everything's there. They're cutting, chopping, putting things together. I mean, Raymond made millions of dollars for many people. I mean, I'm not going to say any names. But luckily they got along good with Raymond, and Raymond was the sweetest man on earth. I mean, he has the, how you'd say, there was no ego with him. He'd give you 120% on a normal day. And then when he had to like really bite the bullet and go in at 5 o'clock in the morning to do the arrangement, he was giving you 150 or 200. And so he basically, Raymond, because these two producers couldn't produce their way out of a paper box. And Raymond was in there doing all the producing, putting all the strings, putting all of the things, making the arrangements, going thing. So all of this is there. And I'm listening to this. And I mean, the song was, baby, you understand me now. Sometimes I feel a little mad, but don't you know that no life can always, you know, that's the song. Yeah. So I get in the booth, and Remy said, "Did you work on it?" I said, "Yeah, I got a couple of ideas. I don't know. We'll see where it goes." They roll the tape. First thing comes out of my mouth, and I didn't really know it. Baby, you understand? Hear me now. Sometimes I feel a little, because I'm getting inspiration from the tracks. You know, there's no way I can go, baby, you understand me now. Sometimes I feel a little mad. That wouldn't have gone nowhere.
Is that what they were asking you to do it first?
No, they didn't ask me to do nothing. They said, "What you got?" Because that's
just go in there and do your thing. Just go ahead.
That's, in those days, was always like that. I mean, I was good to doing solos on saxophones. Let's listen to the track, and then they'd say, "What you got?
What do you got? What are you hearing?
What you got? Give me something." You know, you're a hit man. You're here to, make a hit. Do it. And so
America, make your do your best, America.
You know, and it's funny because my parents were there, so like they're up in the booth, and my father's going like, because we were in, what was the name of that studio? It's not even there anymore. Boy, my gray cells. Anyway,
the place where Scarano was doing his records as well.
No, Scarano was doing a lot of stuff in England. He was in Trident, and I think he might have done Studio Davout. It was Studio Davout. It was like the biggest studio in that time in Paris. And I mean, like, you could put an orchestra in there, 60, 70 pieces. It was like big. And I was down there in the booth, and my father's up in the top, and he's telling my mother, "They're doing all of this for him?"
Yeah, he doesn't understand.
Like, what's he doing in this big studio? I mean, they're doing all of this for him. That's father-son rivalry a little bit. They always want you to do good, but they don't want you to really do better than them in a way. That's especially in the Cape Verdean community. You got to like, you're the child, no matter how old you get.
Sure.
But so anyway, so I go, I start singing, "Baby, understand me now. Sometimes I feel," I'm just doing it. And I run through the song. And
how many takes?
That was the warm-up. And then the second one was the take. Done.
Okay, thank you.
You're like, they say, "Oh, we see your direction. We like what you're doing. Do it." And that was one take. But I mean, for me, it was no big deal because that's what we did. We didn't want to spend any time. It was like, this was just nobody knew this was going to be a hit. It sounded good. When I got done with it, when I got a copy of the album, I just threw it on the heap of the other albums that I had in the corner that I had done from other things. and was going on my summer tour, doing my regular club dates.
Yeah.
That wasn't. But anyway, this gets really funny. So anyway, so I did that, and then there was Gloria, and these are like, I was more rhythm and blues. So when I said, if I'm gonna do Gloria, I have to do it like Jimmy would do it. So I'm gonna tell you about my baby. She come around. She's about 5'4" from her head to the ground. I was thinking Jimi Hendrix. I was like, okay, that's how I did that one.
Like Hey Joe.
Yeah, like Hey Joe. And of course, You're My Everything. That was just straight up, try to be a crooner. And that was another thing. I just sang the song. I went in there. They got the sound. The sound sounds good, and I sang it because I'm sure I could have sang it better, because there was definitely places where I was probably a little flat. But I mean, nobody was into that. There was no such thing as auto tune. Those blues notes were kind of like the little.
There wasn't
notes.
even a synthesizer yet.
Yeah, blue note. Those little blue notes. That was like that was your lead way. There was the feeling notes. You're my everything. Da, 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 da. I mean, I was crying. I'd go up there and cry. And that was the one take. And then the other song that was on the album, Black Pot. I mean, it was like going 3 hours. I just did my shit. Warmed up, sang them, and that was it. Go on to the next thing. And now, this is May, June. Now, they've got the product after Raymond Dinez did the production. Don Ray, he went in there because they didn't know what they were doing. He did everything. For me, the producer of Santa Esmeralda was Raymond Dinez. Now, and it's funny because that whole thing about when I heard the demo, I didn't even know it was Sam. I didn't realize that it was Sam that sang that to me. A couple of months before at our friend's place. It didn't dawn on me, because they had gone in the studio and made these horrible arrangements and everything. Then when I heard that Raymond was going to do it, Don Ray, I was all on board. But so do the album. It was a matter of fact, and I kept getting mixed up. Did I leave with my parents to go? We had just come back from the European tour, but we were like, yeah. Anyway, yeah, I think we had just come back. Now, I'm thinking about working on this little tour that I had of July and August of about maybe 30 gigs between the two, in the south of France and all of that. And, Santa Esmeralda is like, they wanted to call it Santa Esmeralda. They could have called it Mickey Mouse and Company. I didn't, I wouldn't. But Santa Esmeralda, they wanted Santa Esmeralda starring Leroy Gomez. Okay, didn't bother me. But it's supposed to be Leroy Gómez, okay? This is where my dad goes, 8. So I get the album, and I go, okay, what's with the Z? Oh, you don't like the Z? I said, no, but it's Spanish, The Z, yeah, the Z.
The Z at the end, right?
Yeah, see, like when I sign my name, I don't put an S, I don't put a Z. I kind of like scribble on the way out. my signature is like, it looks like it's a Z, but it could be an S. I kind of like. So my dad saw that and he was like, "Who is this Gomez?" And I'm going, "Dad, they can't change it now." And it wasn't a hit. It wasn't anything. So he just said, "Okay, you want to be a Gomez, So anyway, now this is another. I mean, coincidence or destiny. They take the song into, it was Phonogram at the time, in Paris, because they did the deal with Phonogram. They actually borrowed $50,000 to do this production. It was a big deal. They went out on a limb. For them, $50,000, and that was cheap. What we were doing after that, because everything else with that was $100,000, $120,000. You couldn't do a disco album for under $100,000. It was like unheard of. So they went into the show it to the PDG. I'm thinking French. PDG. It's PDG. No, the PDG. He's like the boss. The boss. And it's like
Jefe.
It's the end of June. I mean, July is like the next day, July 1st. everybody in France, everything shuts down July and August in those days. You couldn't even buy a hamburger unless you're in the south of France. It was just like everybody just left town. So they he said, well, I like this, but maybe we should maybe Christmas, something like that in the fall. Maybe we'll try to do something with it. And there's this young guy, I don't know his name, was going through the hall. His job was to take the top songs that was out for that summer. And that year was Exodus with Bob Marley. I don't know who else was out there at that time. And take these albums or 45s or whatever to the top 20 discotheques in the south of France. And they were connected to the radio stations.
Gotcha.
So he was leaving the very next day. So he opens up the doors, excuse me, but what is that? Hand clapping and everything. He was like a fan right away. He says, gee, can I take some of these with me? And they say, yeah, take whatever you want. So he takes like about 50 or 60 copies of the album. And the album, it's not the same one in the States. I mean, the girl had it was Nicolas Skorsky. His name came back to me. That rascal. Yeah, that rascal. He was like I'll tell you, we'll get down to the dirty deals that go down behind the stories. But anyway, so they gave him these 50 copies. He's leaving the next day, driving to the south of France to get there before, midnight when everybody's in the clubs. And he hits 3 or 4 clubs in the night. And every place that he went, he gave it to the disc jockey. First, they loved the copy because they saw the girls with their, hinds out. So they put it on to see what it was. And when they put that on, everybody flocked to the dance floor. So in the matter of a week, he was hitting 4 or 5 clubs in the night. And the same thing was happening. You don't have the actual cover in there. I know
I don't have that cover, but
I know I should have sent that to you, but that's my fault. And well, that's what I was working. That formula. Put that if you pop that back up there.
Okay. The
formula. There was tequila with a little red rose, and then there was Annie and Anique. Okay. And they were like, my dancers, like we were on the road. I mean, I'm talking about when this song came out, the guy that was supposed to drive backed out. So I was on the road driving the van with the 3 girls in the back. Oh no, with tequila in the front. With the map, because she was my co-pilot, going to gig to gig. And about the second week of July, on the 2 radio stations that they had that I was listening to, bam, Santa Esmeralda. Santa Esmeralda, Leroy Gomez. In French is King Gomez. Leroy in English, in French is King. So they were calling me Leroy Gomez, Santa Esmeralda, #1 in all the clubs. By August, I was on the only 2 radio stations. They were playing it back to back, rolling over.
Who did Who did the deal in France? Don Ronaldo, or was Don Ronaldo hired?
No, this is Nicolas Skorsky and John Manuel Scarano. His name was. These were the 2 guys that went out and borrowed the money and let Raymond Donez do the production. They were
so they put
talk about being lucky.
And
what was interesting, that Raymond had his finger on all the top French musicians. Jose Souk, the baddest flamenco guitar player ever
on the planet.
Slim Peasants, who was working with Claude Francois and all that, playing all the hot American rock and roll licks and everything, because that's what you get. And you get a lot of things like, and then you got that flamenco guitar. It was like really Raymond's baby. I mean, he just created.
He did a great job. He did a great job in the arrangements and the composition part of it. Amazing.
Oh well, Raymond was the glue that kept it all together. Okay, I did my part, but all the other guys.
Everybody brings their piece in, but
everybody brought their stuff to Raymond's groove. I mean, Raymond's. I went to his funeral, man. It was a sad day because he made so many people and gave so much to so many people, and I could name the names of these people, and I know they all appreciate it, and he got along good with them. I know, and Raymond loved what he did, and Anyway, so here we go. This guy goes out. He brings these things to these hit clubs that were going back to the 2 radio stations saying, this is what's working in the club. Bob Marley and all these people, these are cute. But Santa Esmeralda is the ticket. So here I am. My driver leaves me. I'm driving. That's what I'm talking about. I got COVID. That's nothing, man. I was doing gigs. I was in the south of France in Montpellier, and I had to go drive the next day up to Le Touquet with 102 fever.
Oof.
I spent 2 nights in this club in Montpellier. Drove all the way to Le Touquet. Almost died because I drove, you know, when the train tracks were doing like this. Yeah. And I only had like 10 more kilometers to go. I said, I'm not stopping for this train. I remember going under the thing as it was doing like this. The girls were screaming. I mean, it was wild. So I go to Le Touquet and I do the gigs. It took me, you know, 120 times. I'd go on stage. In those days, we do 2 or 3 shows. I go on stage, go back, sleep, go back. So I come back. Yeah, but I was young. Look at me. I was
he was young, everybody. He was a young man at one time. Young.
Yeah, you're young. But I was, you know, and I was, you know, I mean,
so you're living the wild. You're living athlete. You're speeding. Everything is going.
Yeah, I'm 27, man. Nothing could go wrong. I mean, I could, you know,
you're invincible.
I'll find my way out of it. You know,
you're invincible. At 27, you're invincible. You know that.
Yeah. 27. Wow. So I come back and then we got a hit. I mean, of course, I go into the office and these guys are sitting up there with these big cigars, man. It's like, you know, don't even know them anymore. And of course, we had a few TVs to do and all that. And now, in the meantime, Sam Schwecker, who had the idea, calls me and says, Leroy, don't you remember when I played that for you over Mario's house? And I'm going, that's right. That was you. And it's,
yeah, because you didn't hear it at that time.
No, because like they went in the studio, they kind of fluffed up his voice.
Oh yeah, with Domino,
fluffed up his voice, you know.
Way different sound.
Yeah, yeah, but it wasn't like in the living room, you know. And I said, that's right. He says, yeah, I mean, they're cutting me out. I gave them the idea, you know. So here I go again. I got on my bandwagon like I did with Michael. I'm gonna get into a fight. So I go in the office and said, man, well, you guys, you know, this was Sam's idea. Aren't you going to give him something? Yeah, but it was only an idea. He was terrible in the studio. I said, yeah, but you guys got to give him something, you know? And of course, Sam goes and goes to court. I stood up for Sam. That didn't go very good with the
I didn't think so. I don't think that would go very good at all.
I mean, I went up there and said, yeah, that was his idea, you know? And here I go, I'm being good Samaritan, right? I'm shooting myself in the foot. But I mean, it was his idea. He should have got something. And Raymond also stood up for Sam. He wrote a letter. Yeah, this was the original, you know, thing that I heard. I got, you know, I made the arrangements from what I even made mistakes in the words because I was using Sam's words. I mean, Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood wasn't my favorite song. The Animals and all that. Nina Simone wasn't really my universe. And oh yeah. If I seem edgy, I want you to know. Now, if you listen to that straight, Sam was singing in his version, he was saying, if I seem hedgy. So I wrote down hedgy. So when you listen to that song and say, I think it's the second verse. If I seem hedgy, I want you to know.
Sounds good.
I never meant to take it. COVID, I can't get it.
Out on you.
Thank you. Out on you. Out on you.
Out on you. Sorry.
So I actually said, listen to it. It says, if I seem hedgy. Now when I sing, I try to do the original words. Because I'm singing the words that Sam took off the record in his French thing.
Right, he's making
not even the right words. I didn't even sing the right words to the song. Really. Become a massive hit.
Listen to hedgy sounds good though.
If I seem hedgy. Yeah.
Nobody questioned, oh wait, that wasn't right. We just said, hey.
I mean, Nina, you know, and it's funny because she was in Paris and I never got a chance to meet her because she was the real deal. You know, she did that song and made it what it really was. And the Animals took it. She did it in 64. 64. And of course, but in those days they didn't have the mass possibility. There wasn't that many record players out there, and then the Animals, even they did it in 66 or something like that, but they didn't have the mass. Now in the 70s, now everybody had a record player. By that time, mass production meant that everybody had a record player.
Sure.
Every kid, everybody had a record player. So that's why we're doing those big numbers, because these kids wanted to play that, put it in their room. They wanted to have the cover. They wanted to be able to see all that. And so, I mean, the numbers were huge. I mean, if you didn't sell a million records, you didn't get a gold record.
No.
It wasn't even 500. What was it, 500,000?
Yeah, 500,000 is America's gold.
There was some places that had to be 1 million. Now they're getting platinum, 100,000 copies.
I know, it's crazy when you see
Diamond,
that.
whatever they want to call it.
Yeah.
But anyway, so back to that. So we go to the war. Now here I am, caught myself in a war. I think I was better off when I was in that bathroom with the clubs being hit over my head. It was easier. No, but really. Because these guys had all the strings because they had the money. And they weren't giving me mine. Okay? So I had to go, and I got to go to court to get my money. Because I'm telling people that Sam Schwecker was the guy that had the original idea.
Oh.
They might come back to sue me now. Oh, they can't. Now, this is how bad these guys are. And I'm jumping all around the place. But about 6 years ago, Nicolas Skorsky, who decided he wanted to work with some rap artists, and they found him in his beautiful apartment in Paris overlooking the Eiffel Tower with his throat slit on the kitchen floor. Oh. How that happened, I felt really bad. No, but I really did. I said a prayer for him. And then I went down. I was matter of fact, I was in New Jersey doing a gig for some gypsies or something. Anyway, and I went downstairs. I had an 1.5-hour massage and sauna. Man, he's dead. I'm living, But that's the kind of guy he was. Because somebody
that's what
wasn't taking.
Karma. This is what I want to interject. This is where they say karma is a real bitch.
That's right. When it comes back to bite you,
because he took some others.
They never even found people that did it. Because there was no breaking and entering. Whoever he let in there wasn't, playing any jokes. Mm. Okay, so here we go. So now we're in like a court battle. They did give me some money. They weren't giving me the right numbers, but it was just the beginning. Nobody had the numbers. They were just selling. This is like in September, October, right?
Yes, it's fresh. The record's fresh in the game.
Yeah, it was fresh. The thing's going. We don't know how many we're really selling. I mean, we're getting numbers, but and of course, bang, people are coming out of the woodwork, touring and all that stuff. So I get hooked up to do a tour in Italy right away. Because I was doing a lot of TVs. I did a lot of TVs in Italy. I did 3 or 4 major TVs in France, Germany. But I'm out there winging it. I don't have any management. I'm in a war with the producers.
Jesus.
They don't even want people to see me because they're already planning their next project. They told me, Leroy, you're going to sing country and western now.
They don't want to see. They don't want anybody to see him.
They don't want them to see me. No. And there was like they wanted to do something else,
Keep him hidden away.
Yeah, that's right.
Keep this heartthrob away from everybody.
Instead of them being intelligent, saying, okay, we got a few problems, let's iron them out and let's keep on going with this. Because even Raymond Donez didn't want to work with them anymore. Now, they took out the lead singer and they took out Don Ray, who did everything.
It's the musical genius of it.
Musical genius. He's the guy that did the arrangements and did all that. And they found this guy by the name of Roland Petit to do the rest of that. They did like 7 albums after that album.
And each one is worse than the other.
Yeah. They
Because
only did one good track.
You have a masterpiece. Wait a minute. Wait, hang on. You got a masterpiece with this formula, right?
That's the cover. That was the cover. There, you got it.
Okay,
that was the cover.
So I found it. Sorry, everyone. I got the cover.
No, that's it. And you see that picture with the girl. Now the cover is interesting because we went in the Boîte Boulogne with a big black Cadillac, because I'm supposed to look like a gypsy, something or other. And we're taking all these pictures, and nothing's coming out good. And the sun's going down, and they're panicking because the photographer said, "I haven't seen anything." That's, they couldn't really look at it. And he knows what he got in the can. He said, I don't think we got anything in the shot. And they need this cover. And the wife of Nicolas Skorsky, now the girl with her butt out like that, that's
Yep.
Skorsky's mistress. That was his mistress.
No way.
I mean, it's crazy. That was Skorsky's mistress. Now, he had it on the cover because they didn't want to use my dancers because they wanted to have their own idea. So we said, it's okay, whatever you want to make the cover. So I didn't use my dancers. And they put me up there. They put the Nicolas Skorsky's wife, I forget her name. She was beautiful, too. I don't know what's he doing with the mistress. He had a beautiful wife. And she grabs that dress with the black dress, the girl, the white, the red and the black, and she puts a pin and she puts her butt out, and she poses us like that. They took 2 shots, and that was it, the cover.
So you're telling? Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Hang on. So you're telling me? Wait, hang on. You're telling me? Wait. Let me make sure I got this correct. You got the woman in the front, in the black, as his mistress, and the one with the red halter top as his wife?
No, that wasn't his wife. That was another girl. I don't know what she had to do in the mix, but hey, he was a big time producer. And
crazy.
So we actually had a 15-minute window to get that shot in. And his wife came in, she pinned it up. She said, take that picture. And we took 2 of them, and it worked. That was it. Because it was a sexy cover. In those days, that was really
risque.
Yeah, that was risque stuff. I mean, I ended up being, I did some shows where, in Italy, where they had the women against machotism or something like that, out with banners going, that I'm a macho, whatever. I mean, I was with Tequila, man. I couldn't see anybody else but her, man. I did, a lot of guys, when I had my hit, a lot of guys were taking a profit, man, who made a lot of mistakes with a lot of different women. But I was in love. I'm talking about, I didn't have to see nothing. I had Tequila, we were on the road, we were doing, I didn't know anybody but that woman. Never thought it would happen, but it did.
Right around, and you know what? And you're lucky because that's not easy to find that kind of love, and it works while you're in the middle of all the success too. This is something that's, you want to talk about 1 in a million? That's like a 1 in a million shot. You got it. Right?
Yeah, that was the only thing that really counted. But we had, everything else, the bad deals and all that stuff.
Yo, dude, Europe's blowing up. When does this thing cross the ocean to come to?
Oh, okay. So here we go.
Because that's what you gave. Everybody wants to know how the hell it gets to Casablanca.
Well, no, because see now, Casablanca's in a predicament because they've got this Leroy Gomez guy, and since they were upset with me, they're putting out, now they're starting, this is like September, October, and Casablanca wants to get on, they want a piece of this, and they want to put out an album. So that's when they go, no, we can't put that album we have in Europe, in America. We're putting this girl on with a rose. All right? They're burying me now. Now they're just like, I mean, if they could have, they were hoping that I would be found on the kitchen floor with my throat slit. I mean, they hated me because I was going against them. I was saying that you guys were doing something wrong. Sam Schwecker had the idea. You should get something out of this. So here we go. The album comes out with the rose. It was kind of hard for me. But Casablanca wasn't letting me go because they didn't want to have me out there running around for some other company to come out with Leroy Gomez, the singer of Santa Esmeralda. I didn't know all this because I was young and dumb. So I'm out. I go to LA with Tequila. I think it was in January or something, because we had friends out there, so we're always back and forth. And we go over this girl's house. Her name was Begita. She was on Sunset Boulevard. She used to do clothes and all that stuff. And there was this lawyer. They were always trying to get in contact with me. I'm not going to say his name because he didn't do me any good.
Oh, God.
And I'm over this house, and all of a sudden, this lawyer comes in. He said, "I've been trying to catch up with you, Leroy." I'm going, "Yeah, okay." We talk, but and then he starts talking about Casablanca, and he says, "You got to go with Casablanca, and you got to do this." And I said, "Yeah, but he said, "No, let me be your lawyer. I'm gonna get you management."
Oh, Lord.
I let him get me management. His best friends, right? I'm not going to tell you the name of the people. I'm not going to, but these two guys. I mean, if you go back and you see that, you're going to see on the albums who was my management. If you want to dig, you can find it. But it was, it took me over to Casablanca. Neil, we're talking and everything, and and this lawyer said, "Okay, we're going to do the deal." I said, "Yeah, okay, we'll come up with some, what you think we should do." Make a long story short, they're in there. But I think I stayed there. They put me up in this beautiful hotel. I think I stayed 6 weeks while they're hashing this out. This kept going on and on. But what I didn't know is that the lawyer bills were going up and up.
It's like
yeah, man, he's making all these meetings, and I didn't go to them because I was, I didn't want to know any of them. Actually, I was young. I'm talking about being stupid. I took a guy to be my manager. Guess who? The guy, because he was a friend, that didn't go on the tour that summer because he didn't want to drive the bus. I mean the van. It wasn't even a van. We had a Ford station wagon or something. He didn't want to drive. He had to stay with his mother or something. And I said, "Well, you want to be my manager?" I take him to LA to be my manager. The guy doesn't know squat from diddly.
Oh, he's not even driving.
He couldn't even drive a car.
You don't even have the management of the group.
But you make mistakes, man. You really, I mean, But the problem is, sometimes you lead with your heart. You want to do something with somebody.
Hang on. There was no Google. There was no handbook. There was nothing to look at.
No.
Nobody to ask. Who are you going to call?
I didn't know where to find a manager.
Who are you going to call?
I figure managers, anybody could be a manager, right?
That's right. Who are you going to call?
Yeah. And the guy was worth nothing. I mean, during the negotiations, somebody in one of the meetings pulled out a joint, and this poor guy hit some of this Maui Powie or something. It took him 6 hours to get back to the hotel.
Lord help you. Lord help you. Yo, but I've heard from other people the Casablanca story. There was all kinds of barbiturates there for the taking.
Like what you poisoned.
They wanted to see what you were, they wanted to see what was going to be the thing to cook you.
Yeah, what's going to be your weak link?
Your vice.
Where can we
vice, basically.
But see, my strength was tequila because she wasn't in for any of that, I dibbled and dabbled later on when we had a lot of money and we were in LA scene,
Was tequila American or European?
No, tequila was French. Her father was Turkish and her mother was from Algeria. So she was see that mix that she had, and like people thought we were brother and sister because we both had that exotic kind of look. Right. Oh,
Why did I go down?
You went down.
Hang on, I'm still here.
Somebody didn't like what we're talking about.
No, it's the camera.
No battery. Oh my God, we've been doing this for over an hour.
Yep, it's okay. Let me see what's going on. Here I am, back. Sorry, everybody, I'm back.
All right, so we gotta stop moving this quick because nobody's gonna sit through this.
Well, you know what? They're actually taking
Nobody's gonna sit through this 2 hours, man. It's too long.
They're sitting there listening, asking questions. They're all talking quietly. So tequila keeps you in check, and she's also watching your back, and she's got a womanly sense about things, and she's telling you don't trust.
Yeah.
Be careful. No, he's a good guy. No, he's not.
How do you know that? Just like, is this classic? How many times she said, no, not that
You're
one.
like, come on.
Do it. Don't do it. I mean, he's a good guy, man. We laugh and we joke.
It's the same with men. Men can sense sometimes with friends of other women when they're what they're up to. You could sense it. When you're an outsider, you can sense the game. Yeah,
you've been around it. You've been there. So
you say
sometimes people talk about, all of these stories and they go, come on, it couldn't have been that bad. I mean, could you be that? I mean, how could you be that stupid, But, Oh, yeah, now yeah, of course I look back. I mean, there's some times when I go, yeah, what was wrong with my brain? Why was I, letting people manipulate me to the point where, okay, this lawyer, right? I went into his office. I gave these guys power of attorney over
Power
my
of
accounts because
attorney?
they had, to pay for the garden and the house and all that stuff. I gave them power of attorney because I was going 2-3 months back to Europe. I'm looking through my books and like there's $150,000 hole in the books, that went to the lawyer. And I go back and I go, I'm not going to say his name, but I'm going, who in the hell paid you this? The accountant was his best friend.
Yo, you want to talk about cahoots? And let me ask this question. So how many sets of books did they have? The A set, the B set, and the C set?
Man.
It's like the same with the record companies. People don't understand this.
And
There's three sets
the
of
S
books.
set, the screw set. Don't forget the S set.
D, and the screw set. Right? The set that says he don't get nothing.
So, but listen to this. I go in the office and I'm complaining a little bit, because there was a lot of money. But I'm going, that still seems like a lot of money to pay you for your putting the deals. Yeah, but they remember when you were looking for a band, I went to Chicago. Oh, yeah, and those deals that we did in France and Germany and all that. I went up, and this guy's flying first class. So anyway, to make a long story short, you know what he told me?
On your dime.
Now, on my dime. Now, this is what you're going to really say I must be stupid. Because he looked at me and said, Leroy, you're in the big time now. Every time you breathe, it's going to cost you money. And he laughed. And I laughed with him. He said, you're in the big time now. Every time you breathe, it's going to cost you money.
Yeah, you're a big wig, bro. You're rolling.
Yeah, it's going to cost you money.
Like
you're in the big time. Music business, huh?
What kind of money are we talking about? An idea for people to understand rolling around at that time.
Well, I got a deal where I had to do 3 albums, and the albums were calculated. Well, see, they give you the deal, but then the deal you got to pay out.
That's right.
I mean, I had 3-album deal with with overhead. And I'm coming close to like $1 million, but there was $350,000 worth of production that had to go out of that, plus my living, plus this, plus that, and in LA. Well, I wasn't extravagant. I wasn't kind of like the Ferrari kind of driving on it. I was like down to earth because my wife was down to earth. She didn't need all those things. We just wanted to be happy people and have as many people around the pool having Sunday brunch. That was the whole. I mean, we were just having fun, So, yeah. So you had all that money, but like you said, every time you breathe, it's going to cost you money. So the lawyers charging you over $100,000. Then you get the albums and stuff. And they were pushing me into studios with people I didn't want to work with. The first album I did, I forget the name of this guy who was the producer. He couldn't produce his way out of a hat. We were fighting through the whole damn thing. I had Hal Brooks doing the arrangements. I had another couple of good arrangers doing there doing stuff. But the guy wasn't really the producer. I don't know how they got him, but I know what happened. They got him to get on the gig so that they're getting kickback. Give me 15% of what you're getting on the top of what you're doing. It was all of that going on.
Backhand, black money, going behind the scenes. This way, yo, you put me on, I'll take care of you.
Yeah,
basically.
Yeah.
Well, who's carrying now on this idea of putting these albums together? Who's the creative? Because on the first thing with Don't Let Me is Nick Skorsky, right? He was the one that came with taking the idea from the other guy.
Mm-hmm.
On the next albums, who's the creative? Like, let's say creative director.
Well, here we go on the next albums. The next albums,
executive producers, we used to call it.
Well, the next albums that they did, Raymond. Don Ray, I have to call him with his stage name. Don Ray didn't want to work with it anymore because we had that hassle going on.
Right.
And they went in and they took a guy by the name of Roland Petit, and they had the extraordinary idea of doing it one more time with an Animals tune, The House of the Rising Sun. I mean, you got to be really, not even trying to stay. And they just tried to recreate what was the first album with a guy by the name of, I'm not going to say his name either. I'm not going to give him any publicity. They found him over the phone. They called
They
called
found him over the phone.
Over the phone. They talked to him over the phone, and he sang a couple of lines, and they brought him in from up, I guess from San Francisco, somewhere around there, and to come in and do the rest of the albums with him. Because I mean, he was coming in on a sweet gig. He didn't have to do anything. He was just trying to ride on the Santa Esmeralda fame.
So you actually went. So, did you actually decide to leave, or they forced you out at that point?
No, I was there, but when I found out that they were in the studio doing another album with this other person, The House of the Rising Sun, this is like January, February, something like that. I don't know if that same year, because they wanted to put one out quick. When I found out they're already in the studio, I said, man, I got to get out of this, because they kept telling me, you're going to sing country and western on your next album. So what is this? So then when I went to Casablanca and they started, talking about they want to do a deal, I actually went back to them and I gave them back money on the shitty deal that I had, because I didn't want to do anything with it. I had to get away from these guys, know. So they I mean, young and dumb. They actually send their lawyer to LA to talk to me about doing this deal and getting me out of the deal. And I said, I don't care. Just give me, what is it? I read it. It was a short, sweet thing. I gave them 15% or whatever I was off or something. I don't know what I was. I just wanted to get away from them because they were so. I mean, these big cigars popping out of nowhere. And I don't smoke. So, I don't like to be around cigars. Hey, why'd you leave the deal? Because, man, I don't like cigars, man. I did try to smoke a cigar once. I'll never forget it. I was with a very good friend, Billy Michelle, who was a wrist of music. He got me some deals and stuff. And he took me to Colorado. We went up to the Grand Canyon. We were sitting up on the deck of this hotel, and he forced me to have a cigar. And I'm saying, this isn't bad. And I really could have got small, and he told me, he was just telling me, Leroy, be careful because it will bite you. He just said that, and I went, and I took like an inhale, and I got this white thing bitten from the cigar in the back of my throat for like 2 months. Oh. But anyways, I never was into smoking anyway. So back to Casablanca, they took me under the wing, and I had 2 albums to do with them, actually.
Right.
Now, the first album, I took Sam Schwecker to help me do the second album. Because he's a friend, I felt bad. So Sam, we did an album with Thor Balderson, a guy out of Germany. Nobody that was really, do you know Thor Balderson? Maybe not. He was like coming up at that time. 212
North 12th Street, Salsa Orchestra.
Yeah. So, yeah.
He's another arranger trying to be Don Ray.
That's right. So I
was with Tom Moulton.
If I was smart, I would have said, okay, Raymond, I got the money. Let's go in and do it at the studio. But I was young and dumb. I mean, Raymond's like one of my best friends. And he was off, with Sharon and all these people and doing all these other things. So he was like really busy. And I was like in urgency. I had to get this shit done because I felt, since they're putting out the second album with this other guy singing The House of the Rising Sun, I felt urgency on getting something out. So I was making bad decisions when I should have just sat back, taken a deep breath. But this was a whirlwind. I mean, this thing took off while I was like working for like $500 a night with 3 dancers, like going through the south of France, man. And I got a #1 hit with nobody watching my back.
Right. You went from nothing to everything.
Yeah, everything. It was just too quick. It was too quick,
Like, now what? What do I do? How do I go? Which way do I turn? What do I don't do? And you got everybody coming at you.
I was in a firefight, man. I was in a firefight. Everywhere I turned, somebody was trying to give me a good deal and tell me how much they could do for me, but actually seeing how much they can do for themselves.
Right. How much can they basically bleed you for?
Yeah.
Oh, Lord. Jesus Christ.
But because I had tequila, with the money that we did make, we made some good business plans.
Okay.
I remember when I first got a nice little chunk of money, I was on the Champs-Élysées And I took Tequila, man. I ran it down Champs-Elysees to the Ferrari, to the Maserati. The Maserati store was right on the Champs-Elysees. And I said, that's what we're going to get. She looked at me like I was crazy. She said, really? We walked about 300 yards up the Champs-Elysees off to the right, and there was this building being built where they were doing a big penthouse up there. She says, with that money, we're going to put a down payment on that penthouse. I said, I want my Maserati. We went in there. We went into the buildings. I mean, the elevators were just being put in. We had to walk across planks to go off. And when we got off to where they were going to make this apartment, there was the Champs-Elysees, the Eiffel Tower. I mean, it was like, you know, the Arc de Triomphe. It was like, that was the view. And I said, yeah, baby, you're right. So we put that money down on that. It was the beginning of something good, because that Maserati wouldn't be worth squat 40 years from now, you know? No. Even if unless I put it up on stilts and took the oil out, you know, and you know, kept it in a warehouse somewhere, you know. But yeah, so that's what Tequila was. She had a business sense, you know, and she was never, you know, diamond rings and all those things. I mean, we had already bought some of that stuff before I had to hit. You know, I didn't have to go out and, you know, go crazy. And she, Tequila, her pleasure was having 15, 20 people around the pool. There goes the.
I'm here.
We're talking too much. We're going to have to stop this, because I think the Lord is trying to tell us that I'm rattling off, and I'm just, you know.
Hang on.
I'm not making any sense of this, because I'm going back and forth. And
no, you're actually doing really good. I don't know why my camera's overheating.
Well, because we've been doing this for 2 hours.
Normally it doesn't overheat, but
because this is a hot topic. This is some hot stuff.
Yep. So go ahead. So
all right. So anyway, so Casablanca, I did Thor Balderson with Sam Schweck. I brought him into the production. I think he even wrote a song with a couple other friends. So I was doing all of this out of like, you know, I'm doing good. I want to bring my friends in on this, you know, instead of being, I don't know, selfish or vicious or like thoughtful or intelligent. I forgot to be intelligent, because anybody in their right mind would have taken that money and went and worked with Nile Rodgers or you want to hear a bad story? I'm at the Hollywood Bowl. Of course, I had known Donna and all that because she was in Casablanca. And Giorgio Moroder comes up to me. This is before I did my album. We're sitting here. I don't know if I don't know who was playing. Went to go see some group. I don't know if it was
Commodores?
No. I think it was man. See that? Now see the body goes, but when the brain starts to go, that's when you start to wear the gray cells. Sexual healing.
Marvin Gaye.
I think it was a Marvin Gaye concert. So we're sitting there, and it's like, I'm walking down the thing, and Georgia grabs me by the arm and says, Leroy, what are you doing? Here's my card. Call me, man. We got to do something. I said, you know, that's not a bad idea, because it's European. I know with the Dawn, it's kind of like I feel more comfortable, you know, in the European groove, because that's where I'm coming out of. And I go back, and I talk to these managers, and they're going, no, you don't want to work with him, man. Yes, well, we got the guy. This is the guy. You got to go in the studio with this one, man. And you got to do this and you got to do that. And then my manager, so I listened to him.
As you would do.
You know, and no, that's not what you do, because these managers are supposed, just like your lawyers, you're supposed to direct, not them. But I was young. I didn't know. I was 27, going on 28. I mean, I thought these guys were supposed to protect me, look out for my interest, nourish me, point me in the right direction. And every once in a while, if I have a headache, give me an aspirin. But they wouldn't do any of that, you know?
They would just run the meter.
That's right, man. You know, if you got a headache, man, you got to take care of it, because you got to get tomorrow night, you know? But so I didn't do Giorgio, and that's one of the, because I mean, he was a nice guy, and I knew, I mean, with Donna and everything, I mean, I'm sure I should have went that way, because you know, that European sound.
It would have worked. It would have probably worked for you in the end. It would have been, maybe you would have gotten something where it would have been maybe not as big as Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood, but it would have been on the right track to follow
It
up.
would have been a follow-up. Yeah. I would have been working with credible
Oh yeah,
people.
because he's
you know.
talented. Georgia's is talented, very
Oh,
talented.
Georgia, what? That was a great team, you know. And Donna, I mean, Jesus, I mean, she died what 4 or 5 years ago. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. You know, I'm sitting here, you know, people from my past, and you know, people I bumped into, maybe not friends, but people I bumped into. Tina Turner, she died last summer. I mean, I bumped into her a couple of times, you know, and she's always been, you know, very nice. And you know, I met her first. It's funny, a friend of mine in Palm Springs. All of a sudden, the door opens and Tina comes walking in. But I mean, these people are maybe a little older than me, but they're on. You know, they're here. Donna's younger than me, I think. She was younger than me when she passed on. But
Donna was born in 44.
oh, so she was older than me.
Yeah, she was born in 44.
I was born in 49.
Right. She's about 5 years older than you then.
Yeah. What a talent. Whew.
Oh God.
What a talent.
I mean, look, Gloria Gaynor just turned 80 this year. Just to give you an idea.
Oh, shoot. I
She
got
turned
to
80.
go, man. I got to start. Man, I better get back in the gym.
So if it gives you any indication that, you know, this thing, the beat goes on, it's still
Yeah.
going on for some.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm looking for management right now because I just had a kind of a mishap. I signed up with somebody, but didn't really pan out the way that I hoped it would. And so, like, I'm, you know, and then another thing, you know, I got my mom. She's 94. My main ingredient right now is taking care of my mom. I mean, I don't have to be here to take care of her, but
I know what you mean, though.
being with her. And I mean, we're having a great time. I'm here. I come November, December, January, February, right through, you know, Super Bowl. And we're sitting here watching all the basketball games. And okay, the football games aren't so hot because, you know, the Patriots are not doing anything. But we, you know, we're still sitting there. But when Tom Brady was in there, it was like, you know, high times for her. And I come home, we're taking her to baseball games and stuff. So, but now she's, you know, I want to spend more time. So I'm going to be in the States a lot more. You know, I spend 6 months out of the year, but I think it's going to be. So I'm actually looking for some management here in the States that can give me some credible work. You know, I don't want to work every day, but you know, if I can work some.
You want to do those? You want to do the right gigs when they do.
Yeah. I don't want to. You know, they have to be fun. You know, I almost did it. There's a show that's supposed to be happening in Atlantic City on the 2nd of March, and I almost got on that, but then this guy that was. He's not taking care of me anymore because it was a done deal, and you know, he just, you know, they started looking out for things, but they're looking out for your interest because
Right.
they kind of feel like, you know, they want you to. Actually, this person, I'm not going to say his name. He was actually a good guy. He was really trying to get me more money, better conditions, and all of that, you know. But I mean, I have a base. Then I felt like, you know, he was trying to push it a little too quick. And
it pushes the bars away.
Yeah, but he was right though. I mean, I don't want to do more than like 20 shows a year. It's not like I want to be out there every weekend. I'm past that. I like to have choice gigs, but I'm doing okay on my own. I mean, people call me, and last year I did like 3 shows in Italy, did Prime TV, I went to Chile. Where else did I go? Yeah, Italy, Sardinia, and all these places. So fun gigs, you know. Great food.
Oh, the Italy's got fantastic food.
Oh my God, spaghetti alla vongole. I mean, put me the.
You can't get that here. You cannot
No,
get that because of the vongole.
because no, the vongole it's a special clam. It's not like a quahog. It's like a baby quahog.
Yeah,
but it's like it's a race. It's a
and
race.
it comes from that Mediterranean. You cannot get that here in this side of the world.
Get it. Oh, spaghetti alla vongole.
So it seems like that for you, most of what I'm listening to, your biggest problem was always the management side.
I never had anybody in my corner. Not really. No, I never had somebody that's in my corner to nourish me and to protect me. So, and every time I would get away from that bad situation, if you like, there would be another one come, probably even worse. I've got. There's this company, and you probably figure out who this is, in Miami, that I went down in 2000 and I sang about 20 songs with them. I redid Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood. I did The House of the Rising Sun. I did it. The only song that I think they did that was good after me was another cha-cha. I think they did a good job with that. Another cha-cha.
Yep.
And no, we had a 50-50 deal split. Everything was like, yes, 50-50, 50-50. They could have given me 100%. They're not going to give me any money. They gave me some things, you know, but now it's all, these songs are like all over iTunes and whatever these other, you know, these things are on internet. I can't remember them.
Spotify, all that stuff. Yeah.
Poke Me in My Eye.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
all of these
Pokemon and all that stuff.
Yeah. Pokemon, you know, rip me a brand new eye patch. But I mean, I'm, you know, I've come to the point where I don't want to go out there and fight these guys, man. If they think they need a nickel and dime and get this little money because they need to make them their egos, I forgive them.
The reason is that because the game now is different than what it was then. Then you were supporting the release. Now the release supports the tour.
Yeah.
So the money to the tour drives home the income.
Yeah. Now
you did it opposite back in the day. Was you were sent out on city by city tour to support that release.
Yeah. You weren't worried about how much you made doing the gig because the money was coming in the other way. You were just having fun.
Right.
You had choice gigs, nice places.
Now it's reversed. Now it's the opposite. You need the music to become the catalyst to support the touring so that you could tour out and make the money. Yeah. That's why people are doing for nothing now, because they see it as a more of a promotional tool than they're seeing it as a end all be all. If I got a gold record, oh, I'm great.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Well, you know, it's a brand new world. I don't know if I go in the studio, I do some things with people, and every time I get the, you know, I just go 50-50 split. I'll go in there, write all the words of the song and put the melodies down there. I don't care, 50-50. We'll go in there 50-50. And in the end, the stuff goes out. But you know, a lot of times it's not their fault. I mean, there's no venue, not the physical thing.
I'm sorry.
No, you know something? Maybe this is telling us something. Nobody's going to listen to a 3-hour interview of Leroy Gomez. No way. There's going to be a point where they're going to say, okay, let's move on. Unless I can tell you another story. Oh, how you want to hear about the day I kissed Diana Ross on stage? Oh, we've been on for 2 hours? No, hour and a half, because we were on earlier than that. Yeah, 2 hours, 12 minutes.
So give us the anecdote and then we'll wrap.
Yeah. We'll, you know, no, but I mean, this is too long. People aren't going to be sitting through all of this.
Go ahead. Don't worry.
All right. So here I am, my wedding night. Now, I used to have a friend, sad to say he passed away, a multi-millionaire that I knew way before Santa Esmeralda, that we used to hang out in Saint-Tropez. Tequila and I used to work just to make the money through the year to go to Saint-Tropez for 2 months. I mean, it was young and dumb. But I mean, like I said, we're getting paid in cash. There was a lot of gigs. So we could control. Make a long story short, we're in Palm Springs, and Cleo, the wife of John, has this idea. Let's go to Las Vegas. You know, it's like 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Yeah, let's go to Las Vegas. He calls the captain in his jet. We could have driven there. I mean, it took him 2 hours to get the flight plan and all that stuff together. And we're sitting there, and we get in this jet, and we, 15 minutes from Palm Springs to Las Vegas. We go to the Caesar's Palace. we're having sushi or something, and now because she has this idea, she says, well, "Why don't you and Tequila get married tonight?" I mean, we had been together for like 4 or 5 years. Marriage should have come up a long time before that because I was in love. And I said, "You know something? Why not?" And Tequila said, "Oh, of course." So anyway, make a long story short, what we're going to do, because we had made an appointment for 3 o'clock in the morning at one of these marriage places. And I guess like 10 or 11, 10 o'clock, something like that. So we go to the main room to see Diana Ross, who's singing with, she had the orchestra and everything in the main room. And her hit that time was Reach Out and Touch Somebody's Hand. So we'd sit there with like 3 or 4 rows because we didn't get up front, but we had nice seats. And at the end of the song, she's singing, "Reach out and touch." And she's singing, she walks down the stairs, and she's going down the thing. And for some reason, she throws the mic in my face. Right at somebody's hand, make this world a better place. And of course, I'm young and dumb, and I just singing it like I'm working. And her eyes lit up. She grabs me by the hand. We go up on stage, and we finish the song together. If it does, just try. Da, da. And the van and the orchestra, everything is going and everything. And it's over. And boom. And everybody. And Diana looks at me in the eyes. Her eyes were a little bit glossy. I'm not going to say anything. And she gives me this beautiful, fantastic, wet kiss on the lips. I mean, that's a kiss that you will never forget. You kiss Diana Ross, and that's a kiss you would never forget.
Oh, you don't forget that kiss. No way.
No. And it's like, we're live on stage, man. It's like, because she was, it was fun. And we had a good time. So she gave me this beautiful kiss. And then she went off backstage, and I went back, sat at the table. But I'm going to go get married now. This is like 1 o'clock, 1:30, and I'm going to go get married. And
what does Tequila say to you?
Well, no, she was pretty cool with it until one of the people from her team came back and said, Miss Ross would like to have, if you guys would like to go backstage. And then Tequila had a little bit of a like, and I said, "Oh, that's very nice. Thank you very much. It was a nice evening, but we have something we have to do." And I went off and got married. Well, that's a pretty good story.
It's very good.
I can't even lie. You can't even make that up.
How long were you married until?
Well, we were married. This was like 80, because this was all this like 81, something like that, and she died in 2005. But we had been together since 73. Wow. So we were inseparable, and I'm talking about inseparable. We go shopping. We're going to have a party, and we go do all the shopping together. And then when the guests leave or left, well, when LA was okay, we had to live in May, but we were in Paris or whatever. Before, we wouldn't go to bed unless the kitchen was completely clean, so everything had to be washed. I mean, when everybody left at 3 o'clock, there she is. Yeah, it was a great part of my life. Yeah, we were like brother and sister. Look at it. Everybody thought we were brother and sister. Damn. But don't you think this is going to be a little bit long? People aren't going to want to listen. Nobody's going to go through it. You're
already saying it's incredible stories, but I'm going to say this. Thank you so much, because you did give us a lot.
I know. We should edit this. I'm telling you, there's a lot of them.
Don't worry. We will. But we wanted to get you to tell it your way, and you did it your way. And it's the right way, with every piece of it, as much as you can even remember.
Yeah. There's a lot of memories. Well, I'm sitting in my, in my room when I was a kid. So like, this goes way back.
You're getting flashback.
Flashback, yeah.
Thank you. And well, look, you know what? I think you still got a lot of chutzpah left in you. I don't think you're ready to let this go yet. Well,
Lenny, you've given me some inspiration here. Yeah, just find me a good manager here in the States, because I want to come back. Because there's a lot of good shows out there. Like I said, there was
some great shows. It's just a matter of being in the right disco shows,
right, and with the right people. Anyway, anybody out there, you just get in touch with Lenny, you know, and you can he'll get in touch with me, or if you want, you can find me. You know, I'm easy to be found
He's
on Facebook.
easy. You just send him a direct message, say, we love you, we want you, and we need you.
Yeah.
In that order. You hear me? We love you, we want you, and we need you here.
And I'm ready. I'm always ready. No, it's true. Like, I was feeling a little under the weather, but I mean, you've brought me right back up, so I'm excited. I'll hit the gym next week and
People saying, do not edit this, put this thing up, and it's true. I don't want to edit it down because you know what? We've got the edited versions of you doing quick little excerpts. I want people to hear the story the way it should be told, the way you said it.
I don't know. Maybe I hope I didn't step on too many people's toes. That's why I don't want to use names. But if you want to
have to listen
the
to
albums and stuff, you can.
You know, they can find. Look, people can read between the lines. There's a lot of Googling going on.
Yeah.
Discogs. You can check credits.
Yeah.
Poor Neil Bogart's not even here anymore, so he's gone.
Yeah.
Tom Ray's gone. A lot of people gone.
You know, that was a good team. I mean, there was a lot of great people in that production of Casablanca, and a lot of great people came out of there and did a lot of great things.
Sure, they did.
And God bless them all. I'm happy that I had that experience, and you know, as long as I'm healthy, my mom's with me, and you know, and I'm in love again, so everything is fine.
Leroy is gonna leave it like this. For 2024, he's coming for more.
There you go.
Ain't done yet. Still
I like that.
More to write in the stories. He's still got more to write. He's got the last chapter to write. This is the most important part, the ending now.
Yeah. Thank you, Lenny. Thank you for having me. And we got it done.
And you may hear a song, maybe. You never know. I may ask him to do something. You don't know.
If you got any ideas, I'm open.
You don't know, because I come up with some music. I say, yo, this sounds like for you.
Oh, okay. My ears are open.
You never know. You never know. On that note, everyone, Happy New Year. Stay safe.
Happy New Year to you too.
We're coming strong in 24, and don't drink and drive. And if you do drink, take a Uber.
Yeah, that's right. I stopped a year and a half ago. Done there, been there, don't want to know nothing about it. You couldn't get a drink in me if you tied me
Just
down.
saying, if you decide to be an amateur that night, try to be a professional drinker.
That's right.
Tell me don't drink.
That's right. Social.
Don't go behind the steering wheel. Let others take that for you.
Great advice. Thank you, Lenny.
Love yous all. Thank you again for tuning in. And this is a special holiday edition with our man. And I'm off to say goodnight. Auf Wiedersehen. Guten Nacht.
Good night.
Bonsoir.
Bonsoir. Bonne année.
Ciao.